on a
look
black
is when he's wearing
background.
black.
If that was the case, then it's
Testing.
not helping you guys.
You guys
at all.
don't. He's low. He's
still
he's
low?
very low. Yeah.
Come on,
The raise
second.
his.
Come on,
Hey,
man.
Nolan. Hey,
Come on, man.
come on, man.
Ah,
Come on.
where's he?
Channel. Go up to
Oh,
channel.
there it is.
There you go.
Let me see.
Dude,
Yeah, raise his gain a little bit.
we're going.
How's that?
Keep going.
Keep going.
3 minutes.
There you go.
and-
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Josh.
How's
Talk into
mine?
there.
Testing.
Yeah, he's good. You need
How's
to raise
mine?
your gain.
Mine.
Yes.
Testing.
There you go.
Testing.
And go ahead, Daniel.
Hey, testing. Hello.
Testing,
Raise Daniel's
testing,
gain
testing,
a little bit.
Hey, hello.
Testing.
Yeah, because if not, then
There
I
we
have to
go.
be this close.
There we
Testing.
go. Yeah.
Testing.
Well, you want to be close. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't be like Danny and be all scared of it.
I know. No, they all do that.
I know. They're all like
Hold
back.
up.
Oh, next thing you know, they're like
Hold up,
climbing
hold
up on the top of there. What are you doing?
All right.
All right.
Hold up. I ain't ready.
You ain't ready.
You just hit the splash.
I am hitting splash.
Oh no, you do no. You
Oh,
just
there
go.
it is. You're on.
Oh. All right, we are back. Freeborn Podcast. Today I have 5 guests today with me. Oh, I mean 4.
3.
Yeah,
3.
I know. Yeah. They keep saying the joke is supposedly I look great in black. They're saying that I'm fat. I don't think that's what the joke is.
You know, okay.
Yeah.
We're here today with Josh Wiseman and Daniel Romero. So we're going to be talking about The Chosen.
You're on TV.
You're on TV, Daniel.
You're famous now. Your life will never be the same.
If the people from El Paso only knew, they're gonna know now.
They have TVs in El Paso?
Yeah, actually. I don't know. Probably not. Some people. Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. I'm nervous now. They're all gonna see me and they're gonna be like, "Whoa, we need to get his autograph."
You can't go back.
I can't go back. Chucks.
So we're here talking about The Chosen. Do you like The Chosen, Daniel?
I think it's
Or do you
okay.
hate Jesus?
I think it's okay. So what is it? Is that I kind of like Jesus?
Yeah.
I'm okay with them.
I'm okay with him. Yeah.
You're agnostic?
Yeah, I'm agnostic. Yeah.
Agnostic for Jesus.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I actually like it a whole lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
I binged it again this week. Just
The first season or which?
Both
all of
them.
And the 3 episodes?
In the 3 episodes.
Did you watch the 3rd when it came out that
No,
night?
I did not.
Oh, so you hate Jesus. Now we know who hates Jesus.
Well, I didn't know it came out.
You got to listen to
Yeah,
Dallas.
because I wasn't. I only watched the first one and the second one, and then I didn't know it came out because I fell asleep. So I was just like, nah, I'm not gonna be able to watch this one. So yeah, I didn't watch it. I watched it the
Very
next day.
disappointing. Did you see it when the 3rd one when it
Yeah.
came out?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I held in there. Dallas told me to wait. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, master.
I don't want Dallas to shut up. I don't know what they're talking about. I like listening to him. He's crazy.
Sometimes.
He's real crazy.
When there's an episode to watch, I'm like, okay, shut up, Dallas. You can talk afterwards.
But then people like him don't listen.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I couldn't watch it. I was too tired. Yeah, it's okay. I watched it the next day, early. In
You
the
know
morning.
what show? You know what part of? You know what show? Which line reminds me of you in The
What is
Chosen?
it?
Can you guess?
No.
Food? Where'd you get food from? Who gave you food? You have food?
Where'd you get food?
I don't know which one that was.
That's at the woman at the well.
Episode 8, yeah.
Oh
Yeah, when they
Yeah,
come back and they say,
yeah.
"You need food," he's like, "I have meat to eat. You know not of, right?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"Food?
Food?
You have food?" And then like at the end when the lady's all like, "Yay!" He's still saying, "Food? Food?"
Hey, we shouldn't be talking about those type of jokes because the only reason that it may look a little bigger
Oh, okay.
is because on his he said he took like 5 minutes to set up the camera so it's not too zoomed in on him. On mine, he's just like whatever.
You would think that
And
there's
it
like
still looked this
10
good.
cameras on you since it adds 10 pounds.
No, then we cannot say those things because we're sitting right next to each other.
And yet I look so fantastic. It's ridiculous.
So fantastic. It's to actually go back to it and can Can you zoom in a little bit on yours so they can actually see your shirt? All the. Anyways.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
Easy, boys.
Yeah.
Food?
Fight.
You have food?
I should be wearing the UFC shirt.
Yeah.
We're gonna fight.
Yeah, when he came out and we watched the episode 2, and then he comes out and he says, "So the good news is episode 3 is ready, and we're showing it right now." And we're like, "Yes, yes!"
No, I was disappointed.
You were disappointed?
Yeah, I had to be at work at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's like, no.
Oh, yeah, you're one of those working stiffs. We just pushed all our work back. We're like, hey, we're not going tomorrow.
We're not gonna make
I didn't
it.
wake up till 8 the next
Yeah.
morning. And
No way, really?
yeah, I had to go to Austin that next morning. And I was like,
Telling you, we
and
just
I
said
asked Dad, I was like, I'm not going to Austin. He goes, yeah, well, you going late.
him and Garrett were here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so we're all here, and I mean,
So what time did it finish?
but it was a short episode.
Yeah, it was pretty short.
It was like a 35-minute episode.
Mhm.
It was like the kid episode. It's like they did the same thing. The
Right.
third episode on the first
For
season
the kids, yeah.
was like a shorter one,
Yeah.
and so was this one.
Yeah.
So I think they kind of did the same thing with
No, I watched it. I was just thinking, was it like 11 o'clock late already, or
I
not
don't
that
It
late?
was somewhere
I don't
around there, I
remember.
believe.
Yeah.
Well,
It
kinda late.
started at 8, right?
Yes.
Started at 8,
Okay.
and so
It was probably like
So-
10:30, I think it was. So
Yeah.
I didn't get home maybe till around 11.
Wasn't too bad.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, you have to be up at. Yeah, I can see why you said push it till 8.
Well, then
That's
he talked
cool.
after the episode also. So
And we had to watch all of that.
yeah, just to make sure.
Make sure there wasn't episode 4 coming out.
See, I didn't watch any of that.
No,
No,
man, you missed out on some
I didn't
good,
watch any.
good info.
Not really. It wasn't that great.
Are you talking bad about Dallas?
Hey, no.
Hey.
Blasphemer.
So what did you guys think of these episodes? What did you think of episode 3? We'll work our way backwards.
Really?
Ooh,
Backwards?
Yeah, go backwards.
Okay. Episode 3 was really good. I like him introducing what was his name again?
Oh, Philip?
Yeah, no, not Philip. Yeah, Philip. I like.
Well,
him
Philip's
introducing-
episode 2.
Wrong episode, bro.
Wrong episode.
Do it right.
Yeah, you're wrong
Yeah.
episode.
Do it right or don't do it at all.
Okay. I'll make sure to do it.
Do it right.
Okay, you guys go, and then I'll talk about it.
Episode 3 is where it's where they're all just sitting around the campfire basically.
Yes,
And
that's
Jesus
right.
is healing.
And they're
everyone.
talking and the conversation like devolves into
The Good
just like
Samaritan.
almost like a fist fight practically.
Yeah, that's right.
At
right?
the end, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it just escalates.
Yeah.
I liked how they did that because
Yeah.
it starts off and they're all jovial, laughing, everyone's and it's all spiritual,
Yeah.
right? And they're all
Yeah.
talking about how great it is to be with Jesus. And by the time the end of the episode, they're like wanting to fist fight each
Right.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's when Jesus
Yeah,
like
he
comes
walks
all
in.
like stumbling in because he's so worn out,
yeah. That actually,
and he's like, "Good night."
yeah, that
Yeah.
actually took me back because I was like, we're fighting about stupid stuff between brethren, right?
Yeah.
And then like Jesus, he was there for however long it was. It must have been hours, right?
This entire
He's-
day, basically.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
super tired. He probably didn't eat any of those things, right?
Yeah.
Exhausted, extremely exhausted. And he's like, he just walks by them like, what are you?
Yeah, he's like, "Good night."
Like, he doesn't even
Yeah.
say what you guys are arguing about.
No,
or
he
anything,
just is
yeah.
and then they're just like feeling like idiots
That's right. Yeah.
because they've been taking turns because they can't handle
Yeah.
the
And they're
the
complaining
pressure.
the entire
Yeah.
time that they're taking turns. Jesus
Yeah.
has been there the whole time.
Uh-huh.
And they're complaining like, we barely got here and got ourselves settled, and now all these people are coming to Jesus just for the healing. They don't care about him, and they're just bickering nonstop the entire episode.
Yeah.
And for it to end the way it did with Jesus stumbling in, like just worn out.
I love how they didn't. I like how they didn't show any of the healings.
Yes.
None of that. It's
Yeah.
just you just hear that something's happening, but there's no. You don't see any of it.
Yeah.
You have no idea really of that. It's just they're talking about. I like how they did that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they just focused on. I love how they. To me, that was great writing. How it very, very slowly escalated that conversation to being like a complete, almost a brawl.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really cool. And then his mom coming at the end, right?
Yeah.
Like the only one out of all of them, she comes in and she's like, oh, he needs my help. She
Yeah.
goes over there and washes his feet. That was really cool.
Yeah, and they were working in the whole thing where she says he doesn't need me anymore.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so she was all happy
Yeah.
that she still was needed. That's
She's
every mom. I'll change your diaper. That's every mom. I want to be needed.
Still my baby.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, like she grabbed him, and that was actually really cool.
But see,
Was it this season that last episode where they go? I guess he's like his father that way.
Oh, he works.
Yeah, he works like.
Yeah.
And then
Yes, that was
yes,
episode 3.
yes.
Like both fathers.
yeah, he goes,
And then
well,
she
I
goes,
guess, like,
well, I guess like both of them.
Yeah.
That was a good line.
That was a good
They have a
line.
lot of good lines
They
like
have a
that.
lot of good lines.
They really
Yes.
do. It's a really good writing.
Yeah,
It-
really good writing. That's
really.
not easy.
No.
That is really difficult.
Yeah, no, I'm very impressed with the writing. See, whenever I've ever seen any Christian shows, what I hate most is the writing. It's just so corny and hammy, and it's like telegraphed a mile in advance what's
Yes.
coming.
Yeah, you
And this
know
is
exactly
just
what's
this is really good.
Yeah,
Really good writing. I love. It was just very subtle. Again, I just keep going back to that, but just that escalation part to me was brilliant because just slowly the actors were good. I mean, for the actors to portray that,
Yeah.
to go in that 30 minutes, to go from friendly camaraderie to like right now it looks like they just hate each other. So I'm real curious what they do with that, all those emotions that they opened up at the
Yeah.
end, right when they're like Peter and Matthew especially. I like how they got them as
Yes, I like
antagonists. That's real interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah. Extremely bad. And you finally got Matthew kind of answering back at Peter.
Yeah, Philip's
Yes.
Philip's the what's it called, the rabble rouser.
yeah.
He's like, fight back.
You tell him
I'll show you a
this.
chokehold. Yeah.
Beat him up, yeah.
Yeah, he's like feeding lines of Matthew.
Yeah, he is.
Now Matthew's getting a little
bold.
Yeah, a little bold there.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be interesting to see how they resolve that conflict between them. See, I think they're working up, and so this is my prediction. We'll see if it happens. So I think they are building up to Jesus teaching on forgiveness, because Peter is the one who asks, "How many times do I have to forgive my brother?"
Mm-hmm.
And it looks to me the way they're setting up Matthew and Peter,
Matthew and Peter.
right? I think it looks like that's how they're going to work that part in. As it seems to me that they're going to say, that whole thing of 70 times 7 and all of that, the whole forgiveness teaching. It looks like they're going to make it where it's like a response to Peter and Matthew's relationship.
Oh yeah.
It seems to me. We'll see. I don't know, but it's not like they tell me anything.
No.
Yeah. Not yet.
What is it?
Man.
But that would be pretty cool, because what it seems like they've done, and when I look at their writing, is they take they say, well, we want to give this, we want to put this teaching in. Well, instead of like having him up there teaching it, they like work it into a storyline
Yeah.
and get characters involved, and they dramatize it.
Yeah.
And of course, I think that's where the Jesus haters, I think that's what they end up objecting to, right? Because they're like, well, that's not how it happened. That's not how it happened.
Get over it.
You don't think there's any animosity towards?
Any what? I'm sorry.
I mean, like what's that word? Not hatred, but
Animosity.
animosity. That's the word I wanted. Between the apostles and Matthew.
There's none in the scriptures that we
No.
see. There's nothing in the scriptures that indicate that there was any animosity between them two. There was a lot of envy between, especially like James and John
Yes.
and Peter, the three of them, because they were they were kind of arguing over who would be greatest and who was going to sit here and
Right,
that
Mom
type.
was-
So we do know that they had these carnal quarrels, yes.
Yeah.
But there's never anything indicated that Matthew was involved in any of them directly. I don't saying that he was the one who was like, it just never points it out specifically of Matthew, right? They're just, but we do know, but we do know that that the Jews had this opinion of
Tax
Publicans.
collectors.
of publicans.
Yeah.
So it's perfectly warranted
Yeah.
for them. And this is the thing that I think that the haters, I just call them the haters. I should think of a better word for them, the Hitlers.
That's better.
That's better. I don't want to be offensive.
The Nazis.
The chosen Nazis.
Oh no. No, let's stick with
The haters is fine.
Haters are better.
No, those that object to the show, and there's been a number of people that have like told me, they changing it and stuff like that.
Well, you know that right now, this is going to be even worse. They're going to hate it even much worse if you go and give your explanation.
You're gonna give them reasons to hate it now.
I know.
They're going to go on. They're going to want to try.
But you realize there are a lot of people that dislike it just because I recommended it.
Wow. No.
What if I recommend it?
Yeah, that's probably better. I hate The Chosen. Do not watch it. It's horrible.
Try that
Now
out.
everyone's like, yes, my favorite show ever.
Finally, I can watch it.
like every single thing that says Chosen.
No, but to me, this is, the people that don't like the show, and I don't just mean people we know, right, that I've talked to personally, but I follow them on Facebook, and they always post. I don't know if you've seen that, but The Chosen, the guy, I think it's the one I had on the show, Justin.
Okay. Yeah.
He's the one who does their social media.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
pretty sure he's like a one-man show for the most part.
Okay.
At least when I talked to him, it seemed that way. So what he does is he posts pretty much any real criticism they get. He puts it up.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it is interesting.
That's really cool.
It is. He like blacks out their name, right?
Yeah.
He's not trying to like dox them or anything, but he puts up any criticism and responds to it.
Yeah.
Usually with some sarcasm or some some humor, right? Or some irony or something like
Good.
that. I think good natured. I don't think he's ugly about it, but he'll like point out the
flaw in their
their
opinion,
the irony in what they're saying, or just deal with it that way. Anyways, he puts him up. So there's a lot of people that don't like the show. Biggest thing I see is they don't like the music they use, right?
Oh, that's really cool.
I know. I love the music they
Yeah.
use.
Yeah.
I think their music is great.
And you don't even like music,
I know.
and you're like, yeah.
Well, didn't they write that song "Trouble"?
Yeah, they wrote
Yeah.
that song. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Which is it? Because I would have liked to see them. See, if I was like, I don't know how the music industry works, but if I was like Casting Crowns, I would be like lobbying to give them, say, use my songs in there. Because I think some of the Casting Crowns songs would go great with that show.
They would go great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got some real good ones
They do.
that would, I think, really fit in real
Casting
well.
Crown is pretty good. Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe, the music industry is weird. So who knows how that works? Who owns the rights to stuff? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not always who you think. You think the artist has all this control, and
Most
they,
of them
It's a
don't.
most of
record
them have
company
none.
most of the time. I
Yeah.
would assume.
Yeah, they have no control over their own music. Actually, most of them, many of them. So yeah. But anyways, it's the music, and then it's that they've changed, that they're dramatizing things that didn't happen, and so they're like, well, they're not really doing the Bible.
Well, that's the best thing about it.
I agree.
That's the best thing about
Well,
it.
yeah, because so they're taking what they're reading and they're trying to expound on it, right? They're giving you a background of, let's say, my favorite episode. We'll do that later because
Okay.
we're working backwards. But I think that's the great thing about it, that they're trying to expound what they're trying to say in the Bible. In other words, like the background.
What you're saying, like what everybody does when they preach, basically.
Exactly.
So
Well,
it's like
no,
one
not
big
really.
sermon.
No, not really.
No.
More like they're trying to see how can we make what the Bible is saying like a story, and the backgrounds of these people.
Yeah.
Like, where did these people come from, right? How did they get to this place? And that's actually pretty cool. To me, that's really interesting. Not only that, but it's very difficult to try to use your imagination on what the Bible says about these people. It's really cool. I think that's really cool. So yeah, it's not scriptural. Okay, I understand that. So,
It's not
okay.
scripture.
It's not
That's
scripture.
scripture.
I would, yes, exactly. But I don't see that I have not found anything they've done, or I actually have a quibble with one thing so far. I found one thing I quibble with them on as far as scriptural authenticity. But to your point, yeah, it's not scripture, meaning there's not a verse that says every line they're saying. They're dramatizing things and personifying things that might be more generic or doctrinal in the scriptures, right? Like you should use an example that something they haven't done, but would be parallel to what they do. Like what I'm saying about the forgiveness, working that in, saying that the whole forgiveness teaching, Jesus does it referencing, let's say, Peter and Matthew, assuming they do that. Well, that's not scripture because it doesn't say it was Peter and Matthew.
No.
But the teaching that they would be conveying is scriptural,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter. They're putting it on to, because you have to depict it on, if you're going to like do it with narrative as opposed to having like a voiceover or somebody that comes off on screen and says, and just preaches a sermon. If you're going to actually like try to like have, characters and they're interacting, you're trying to take that teaching that was given as a doctrinal, sermon,
Yeah.
and you're going to now dramatize that into a story. Well, then you're going to have to say, okay, then we're going to make this character be this one and this, and they then personify all these different elements of the sermon, right? And then they play out the sermon, which is how drama works.
Yes. Okay.
And so that's what they're. So, but that's scriptural because they're taking the scripture and they're building a drama around to display it in another way, to paint it in a different color, as opposed to just reading it or preaching it, right? And like what you said, that's always my comeback to anyone I talk to that tells me that they're changing the scriptures. Like, well, I've heard you preaching, and you're worse. They're more scriptural than you are.
Are these the people that hate the chosen?
They hate Jesus.
The Jesus.
They hate both, obviously.
Oh no. Well, yeah. I mean, doesn't Jesus do the whole love your neighbor as yourself? He kind of dramatizes it. He makes it into a story of this person walking down
Like the Good Samaritan.
like the Good Samaritan.
Yes.
Like that's exactly
or what he does with the prodigal son. Same thing, right?
Exactly.
He takes the Jewish leaders who are angry that he's trying to save the publicans and
Yes.
harlots, and he depicts them as one character, and then he depicts the harlots and the publicans as another character, and everyone is put into a drama, and he tells a story and then leaves it there like that.
Yeah.
And it's a very powerful sermon, even though it's a dramatized story. It's very similar to what they're doing.
That's very similar.
You're right.
That's what I was-
And they're very clear. We're not saying that Jesus said that.
Right.
We're not saying Matthew did this. We're not saying this
Right.
was Peter's attitude. We're saying, and what we're doing is we're doing drama. Now, what I think they ought to say is that we're using these characters to depict these truths.
Yeah.
Right? And we're not saying this is what Peter is. We're saying that there are people in the world, are people in the world who exhibit this attitude or this virtue or this flaw. And we're going to use Peter to represent them.
Yeah.
And we're going to use Matthew to represent, and I think that's why they have every apostle being very different. Like Matthew is OCD, right? I mean, he's the one that really stands out. But every one of them they're trying to, I think, make every one of the characters in there be very different than the others. And it's not to have an eclectic cast
Right. Yeah.
so much, I think. I think it's to say, so that everybody who watches that show can identify with somebody in it. So you can say, hey, that's me. I'm like Matthew, or I'm like Peter, or I'm like Philip, or whoever it is. You can just see yourself in that. And that gives you a connection to what's happening.
Right.
You then read yourself in, and then it speaks to you. And I think that's why they're making the apostles all very different, and why they're trying to have, the main different types of categories of people represented by somebody in the show.
Yeah.
So you can identify with that, and it'll speak to you.
Yeah. So who would be your favorite character then?
Who's my favorite character? Well, Jesus. I like Mary.
I like Mary a whole lot.
I like Mary a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that say that.
Now, I identify more with the woman at the well, I think,
Okay.
which is why I can't watch that show without just weeping like a baby.
Yeah, I can't watch that show without.
I mean, every time I see it, I just saw it again, and it's like,
First of all, I watched that one and I like speed through it so I could just see the last part. So I can cry.
it's so brilliant.
So I
See, to
can
me,
cry.
that was just such brilliant writing, the way they did that.
Very brilliant.
Oh, and she did a great job.
Well, the way
Yeah.
they started off is awesome. They started off by Jacob's well.
I know.
That is just.
They haven't been doing that in this season.
No, they haven't gone back.
That's
to the Old
interesting. They
Testament.
haven't done that.
I really enjoyed that part of it.
I know.
How they use the Old Testament at the beginning of it, and then
It may
they'll
be that
link it
right
in.
now they don't have a connection in the Old Testament for
true.
what's possibly. And so I was thinking about that.
Yeah, that's very true.
I was thinking maybe because I'm thinking about that. Went back and kind of read this where they're at, which is in like Matthew. Where are they at? Matthew 3, 4? They're in Matthew 4 right now.
4.
Right? And so I went back and I looked at it and went, yeah, maybe there's nothing really in the Old Testament that's good connection. Because the well was great.
That was.
Yeah.
And it's brought into the text, right? They didn't just make that up.
Yeah.
She says Jacob dug this well for
Yeah.
us.
Are you better? Than
Yeah.
him?
So I love how they said, hey, let's have Jacob dig that well.
Yeah.
Now, I do have to say, from a construction standpoint,
It's just your,
they
this
dug
is your
like
beat.
this deep, and then water was like spurting out. Like,
I'm pretty sure that's how it worked.
and they're like,
1/3 of a cubit, I believe it says.
yeah. And, oh, you got it. But it was hilarious because you got to, if it were for real, you know, that guy that was saying you'll never find water, he had to be real mad. He's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I don't know that God. He's like, well, of course you don't. Most people don't, but look, I
Check this
got
out.
water now.
No, I did like everything else they did, but I was looking at that going, all right, they could have brought out a backhoe and dug a bigger hole. You know,
Yeah.
that was a
He's on
little.
a tractor.
Yeah.
Make it more
Forget the well.
realistic.
What's that?
Or he could have had all his sons digging, right?
Yeah, or something. I don't
Instead
know.
of 2.
I mean, it got
Yeah.
the point across.
Yeah, of course.
Right. It's just one of those tic-tacky things. You look at that and go, because normally I don't see a lot of that in their shows. I really don't. A lot of movies I pick apart, like Hollywood movies. It's like, oh, give me a break. That's so ridiculous. They're generally not, but when they did that, I'm like, they could have gone a little deeper. Come on now, Dallas. I guess they had a permit to dig 6 inches deep.
Yeah. That could have been
Like,
part of it.
all right, we'll make it work. Scratch your heel in
They did it the way they dug your trench for your
Yeah.
for your
for my internet
for your internet cable.
Oh,
They
yeah.
basically went with their heel
with their
and
toe.
then- they laid it in and
scratched-
kicked the dirt over it.
It was all like on the top of the ground. Like, what'd you guys do? And yet somehow they managed to clip the power line coming into the house. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. They clipped the power line, but left the internet cable laying on the surface. You idiots.
Oh no. So they had to get the.
Oh, it was a mess.
Oh, I bet
We were
it
like
was
2
a
days of
mess.
electricity.
Oh,
Well, I think they dug it so shallow just to prove that it wasn't their work.
that's
maybe.
what-
I think
yeah,
that's
maybe
what the
so.
whole goal of that
that's
was.
the way I took
As if like, oh yes, it's all the other people that are out there digging.
Yeah, but it could have been, I guess, for the person that was telling them.
I don't know.
that
They
you're not
ended
gonna
up
get
having
water.
to come out and that cost them a ton of money to fix that for me.
No, he's talking about.
No, I'm talking about on the Chosen.
Oh, I got you. I'm sorry. No,
Yeah.
I'm still traumatized with not having internet for a day.
I'm sorry.
Like, oh no.
Do we need to?
I didn't care about the power. It's like no internet. What?
What do I do?
I can live in the dark as long as I have internet.
That's funny.
Internet. What were you saying then?
No, as far as them digging like the 3 inches that they dug.
Yeah.
I think that was to prove that it wasn't for the work of man. It was God's work that made the water there. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be it because the guy that
I just think the actors didn't want to actually dig that.
I don't think the actors.
It's in their
dug that
contract.
anyway.
They're like, well, then that's real lame.
Those are just stunt doubles.
Stunt doubles.
One.
back to the characters though. The characters, I like Mary a whole lot more.
Is that your favorite,
I think
Mary?
it's my favorite. Yeah.
See, I love her in the first episode.
Oh man, that is
Yeah.
awesome.
That was.
really was.
That was awesome.
That was like crazy.
I'm glad that they used that as their first episode.
I know.
Man,
That was
Which is kind of
powerful.
surprising if you think of, okay, you're gonna start a show. Who are you gonna show first? Like Mary. Like what?
I know, right?
That's not gonna go over well. Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
It was. It was so good. I think there's probably some people that I would imagine have some criticism that they even have Mary involved in the
Oh,
show,
I
right?
I know.
I would
they probably
think.
do. But to me, it seems like she was like biblically, it seems like she was there a whole lot of times.
Of course, she was the first one at the grave.
Exactly. She was there first at the grave. She was
at
there
the
through all his
cross.
Ministry at the cross. She was. It seems like she was there a lot.
It seems like she was there more than anyone,
that
her and the other women, not just her.
Right.
And they're also showing that they got other women
other
in there,
women.
Yeah.
which I like.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really good.
And that they're learning scripture.
I know.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, yeah. I object to that.
Wait a minute.
No.
So, who's your favorite character, Nolan?
It's kind of a tie between Andrew and Matthew.
Mm,
I like the way Matthew acts.
yeah.
He does it well.
Yeah, he does it really good.
Yeah.
And I like how his character seems to have more layers to it. And how he started one way. And I like his conversion when he gets called by Jesus and he just like, okay.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
locks
that
the door,
was.
turns over his keys. And
Yeah, with no hesitation
no
whatsoever.
hesitation at all. And then how he's changing throughout the seasons or the episodes. That's right. And I like Andrew just because he seems like the cool guy of the group. I don't know why. I mean, he just seems like he's just always
Chill.
happy.
Right.
I like
He
him.
tells Peter, "You need to be less you."
Yeah, it's kind of like I like that a lot.
Do you think? I don't know if you guys noticed, but it seems like Matthew lost a lot of weight in the next season. His face is like real skinny.
No,
Oh, really?
notice.
I didn't notice that.
And I was Matthew. Yeah, if you look at season 1, his face.
I wonder
is
if
kinda
that's
full.
intentional.
That's what I was going to ask. You guys
They-
think that's intentional because he doesn't have that money and that
Yeah,
you know,
well, that high
cush
living,
life.
he's
Yeah,
out eating
exactly.
bark off a tree or whatever they're eating.
eating bugs with John.
Yeah, eating bugs with John. Yeah, have another bug, John, creepy John. That's hilarious that they got that with Peter being all like creepy John.
Every
Because
chance he
creepy
gets.
John pointed at some guy. I mean, that's hilarious. Yeah.
What do you guys think of Phil? Who's your favorite before we get done? I didn't ask you.
I think Peter is my favorite.
Peter's your favorite.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. look
Yeah,
at
it
the
reminds me a
shirt.
lot of myself.
He's a UFC fighter.
See, that's what I'm saying. How you could look at things. Why is it that the women remind me of myself? That's something I need to analyze.
Uh-oh.
I identify more with the women.
It's okay.
No, the way he's called, that reminds me of myself so much. Like, no, I can do it. I just need a little bit more time. I'll go and, go to work and I'll take care of it.
Uh huh.
And then the wife, even his wife in the show reminds me of my wife. So
Ah.
just pray about it. You don't know what you're talking about. This just needs to be done. Like, you're right. Dang it. So it just reminded me of myself so much.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I have heard her say that. Actually.
it's
Just
con-
pray about it. It's like, no, I gotta work.
You gotta do something, or you can pray.
What do you guys think of Philip?
I like him.
I liked him.
Not very much, or what? Because you're like unconvinced. You're not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I just didn't. I guess I need to go back and watch it again. Yeah, I'm not gonna give my opinion on him just yet. Let me think about it a little more. Come back to me.
What did you think of Philip?
I'll
Philip
circle back.
Philip's a hard character to have an opinion on because I don't know much about Philip. Even in the scriptures, I don't really know much about him. I don't know if it's much.
Well, there's very little
about
said
him.
about him.
There's very little, so
Mhm.
I don't know how much of it. Peter, you can read it because you know what Peter was. Matthew, and Mary, but Philip, I don't know much, and so the way he's acting is like maybe you can't relate. I don't know if that's
Right.
how he was or they just completely just made up a character for him.
No, I guess it's kind of. And now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, it would be more like how the Bible says about Philip, right? He comes out of nowhere, right? He comes out from the wilderness. It seems like, right? He's just traveling everywhere, and that's kind of like the way the Book of Acts depicts him, right? Like he goes.
That's the wrong Philip.
So you think
You're
this is-
talking about Philip, the evangelist.
So which one are we talking?
Philip the apostle.
So you
I
don't
thought that
think
was Philip the
You
Apostle.
don't think that
You mean the one who went to Samaria and then preached to the eunuch?
to the eunuch?
I don't think that's Philip the apostle.
Really?
Uh-uh.
Huh? Why? Why do you say that? Now I'm actually questioning.
I don't think it is. You think it's the same one?
I thought it was the same one.
Hmm.
I do think so. It seems that way. It seems like the Spirit is taking him to go, and I don't know. It seems like it. I don't see another Philip.
Yeah, because when Philip is in Samaria
Mhm.
and they start converting, it says they call the apostles down.
Okay, yeah. Well,
Well, if he's an apostle, why are they calling the apostles down?
tell
like-
me where that. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah,
can't remember
Philip
that
goes into Samaria
part. Yeah.
and preaches, and they all repent. They start getting saved. Well, then they call the apostles down to lay hands on the people that had gotten saved to receive the Spirit. But if Philip is an apostle, then they wouldn't need to call the apostles down. He's the Philip. They call him the Philip the evangelist. It's a different Philip.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
He's mentioned in Acts several times. He's actually mentioned more than Philip the apostle.
Oh, okay. So then, do you think that they're using Philip?
And he's one of the
evangelist?
7 deacons, isn't he? Yeah. Philip the evangelist was one of the 7 deacons.
I can't remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think they're using that Philip then?
No.
So you think that they're using
The Philip,
Philip
the
the
apostle, is the one. The biggest thing we know about he has a couple things. He says a few things in the Gospels. There's a few. Are you pulling it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got Philip. Just put up Philip.
Yeah, just put just.
Philip.
So, okay, I've heard that before. I don't know if I've heard that from you, where it's not the apostle and it's the evangelist. But I haven't done any more digging than. No, I don't know.
Right. What we the biggest the main thing. Oh, forget it.
Yeah. It's not going.
Yeah. Don't worry
Man,
about
if somebody would build an app.
it. The problem is we have
I think we have
that
too much
we have
going
too
on.
much going on on that one Mac because we're processing all the video signals through the Mac computer now at the same time. Just crazy that it can even do that.
Yeah.
That's
Anyways,
amazing.
the main testimony we have of Philip, he says a few things. There's a couple comments he makes. I can look it up right here.
Yeah, I was gonna do the
Yeah.
exact same thing.
Yeah. There's a couple comments he makes in
The only thing that brings up is Philippians.
it's one
That's
L.
great.
1L?
One L. Let me find it here. See, the biggest thing we have is in John. John records.
Oh, wow. I pulled it up.
Yeah.
Man, only if we needed somebody that's.
We're going to find it in Acts.
Well, no.
You say John.
Well, yeah, the one in Acts.
Philip went down to the city of Samaria and preached Christ unto them.
Click on the reference and it'll give you the context.
Right here?
No, on the reference. The
I don't-
Acts 8:5. That's the reference.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Yeah.
That. Okay, went down to Samaria.
Go up.
Okay.
Yeah. See that this is not this is Philip, one of the 7. If you go to Acts 6, right here, Acts 6:5 on the right column. See it?
Yes. That's one of the. Okay.
Holy Ghost and Philip, see, and Nicanor and Timon and Pyramid and those are the 7 those are the 7 deacons that were chosen by the church in Acts. Philip is one of those. That's the Philip that is the.
Okay.
It's not Philip the apostle.
Yeah, whom
I'm not-
they
I'm not
sent.
It even
before the
says later
apostles.
that he has
And then
daughters who were prophets,
Yeah.
and he was one of the 7.
and it says whom they sent before the apostles. So if Philip is mentioned
Yeah.
in here and they sent forth before the apostles, then he
They-
was not.
Right. No, yeah, that's a different. It's not. He's not one of the apostles. That's the Philip that is.
I'm not
doing that.
convinced yet.
Okay.
I'm not convinced yet. I'd have to read a little more because. Well, we'll see.
Anyways, but the only real, I think, scripture we have to give us some insight into who, maybe Philip's character, how he could be depicted, is that he goes and finds Nathanael and brings him to Jesus.
Yeah.
And I think they're kind of building. To me, they're kind of building on that he seems to have, and that he was a devout follower of John.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the one thing. Remember, I said there's one thing I quibble with them so far. Only one thing I found where I'm like, I think you guys have got that one wrong. So I don't hate the show for it, but I do, like, if they ask me, I would say, yeah, this you got wrong, and that they show like some of the apostles not being followers of John, like Peter,
Yeah.
Right.
and that's not the case. They were all followers of John.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the requirements to be an apostle. If you look at Acts chapter 2, Peter says, we need to pick someone from among us who is with John from the baptism of John
That's right.
until now. And so I think all the apostles were baptized by John. All of them were.
Oh, okay.
Because when Paul meets Jews, he asks them, what have you been baptized by? And they're like these Jews out in, way long later. And they said, with the baptism of John. But everybody who was following Jesus was baptized by John.
Man, that's a lot of people that he baptized in.
Oh, he baptized a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody. The Pharisees went out to get baptized.
go.
That was so many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was such a huge movement in Judea at its time that even the Pharisees went out to do it, even though they didn't really think they needed it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like everybody was doing it. It was.
He actually baptized so many it became part of his name.
Yeah.
I know, right? He actually started a whole denomination.
A whole denomination.
Very impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually cool.
Yeah, a whole church named after that.
Yeah. He is great, huh? Wow. Yeah. So yeah, I never thought of Philip, the one in Acts, being not an apostle.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And the chosen, it just shows what Andrew and then Philip are the only ones that had any sort of interaction. Well, not
With-
interaction, but
but
they all seem like they
We're
had
like
interaction.
devout followers.
Followers. Yeah.
Andrew?
Yeah, Andrew.
Did he say?
Because Peter's always mocking him for
Yeah,
for going around with his bug-eating, creepy John.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. And
But
he
he-
knew Philip.
Yeah, he
They
knew
hugged
Philip.
Yeah, he knew him from with John.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Philip
that's
says, "Tell Andrew I said hi," or whatever he said to. Who was there? Peter was there, and someone else was
He's
there.
gonna fight him. It's like, calm down, dude.
He wants to fight everyone.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh."
He's like, what? My knife? Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it is pretty funny.
But yeah, so I think so what you do, so that's my quibble with the show is that and that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. It's just if I were writing the show, I couldn't write it that way because to me it's quite obvious they were all baptized by John. They all saw John as a prophet. And there was no opinion of John. But this goes back to the point. Was there a view in that time that John was weird, that John was creepy, that John was, whatever? Yeah, absolutely. So they're using Peter. Let's assume let's assume they would agree and say, yeah, Peter would not have actually had that view. But they're using Peter to depict what is actually true about a true view that some people would have of John. And you have to remember that unless somebody wants to write them a check for $1 billion, so they have unlimited funds for unlimited actors, well, then they have to economize characters.
Right.
They can't have 4,000 actors in it. You're right. They have 10 or 12. So anything they're going to depict in any real and substantial way, they're going to have to reuse the actors they have.
Yeah.
They have no choice.
Yeah. Makes
Right? It's just economics.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to take actors, and they're going to take characters, and those characters are going to be assigned attitudes and actions and words that they themselves, we can say they never said that. And if I were the director, I'd say no, they didn't. But unless you want to pay for a whole actor for 8 seasons, all the money that would entail just to work that in, we have to reuse characters. We have no choice. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. They don't have an unlimited source of money. Yeah, makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what, again, goes back to how I think they're doing the show. At least to me, that's how it seems to me. That they are putting the emphasis on the material, in this case, the Bible. What it's saying, what the teaching of the scripture is. And they're putting it into the actions and words of the characters they have available to them. And so what they're not, this isn't the Peter show.
Right.
Right. This isn't the Matthew show where it's a documentary about Matthew.
Right.
Right. This is the story of the Gospels, and they're trying to work in the main, most compelling points of that and do that. So, like in this last episode, the whole idea of them, we don't have any evidence that they ever disputed the way they did in episode 3 in that way at that time.
Right.
Right. They had some envy questions later on who's going to be greatest.
Yeah.
Right. But they're wanting to build to that, I think, and so they put that in, and at the same time they handle the miracles the way they did on that show, which I thought was brilliant. I love how they did that.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's just brilliant writing. I have no problem whatsoever with any of the choices they've made.
Yeah. It's really amazing. It's difficult and amazing that they can do that. I also like the fact that they like it's known among everybody, every single character that Nazarene is just like the worst.
Now that
Every
is funny.
single time it's brought up.
Every time it's mentioned, everyone's like almost spitting.
Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah.
That's real good.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, and it's like a kind of like almost like a running gag in the show,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You're like
Yeah,
Nazareth,
people-
everyone's like, oh brother.
Oh man.
How can anything good? Okay, he's right there. Never mind. I'm not gonna say it.
The best thing comes out of Nazareth.
Yeah.
It's like what?
That isn't, but and that's actually said.
Yeah,
Can
it's
anything
said.
good? That's Nathaniel's comment. Can anything good come out of Nazareth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, his reaction whenever he realized that's who Philip was talking about was like, okay, I'm done listening to you.
Yeah.
You just brought up the word Nazareth. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna follow someone from Nazareth. Like
Yeah.
that was automatically the
Yeah.
cutoff point from him.
But he
And
comes
see-
back and says, "Come and see," and he's like, "I guess I will."
And see, they built that whole story around Nathaniel, right?
Nathaniel.
Yeah, around Nathaniel to get him, I think, to come up so then to show the impact of when Nathaniel then says, "You're the Son of
Or
God."
the son of yeah.
Mm.
Right, and why that would, so they're making that even more impactful,
Yeah.
right? That immediate change of heart when he sees him.
Yeah.
And then why Jesus would say, "You're a true Israelite in whom there is no guile." I mean, that's a very,
Yeah.
Jesus doesn't say that about, like that kind of thing about hardly anybody or anybody, right?
No.
I mean, he doesn't say those words about anybody, but even something like that, it's very seldom that he would offer that kind of praise to anybody.
Oh, don't say praise. God
But he
needs
does.
praise.
But he does with him, right? And so
Yeah, he
then
does.
I think they're like saying, let's explore why Nathaniel would get that kind of an accolade from Jesus, and so they're show him all in those ways. I think trying to build.
See, I
it
liked with Nathaniel when they showed Nathaniel how they showed, how Jesus says, "I saw you under the fig tree."
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like how they show Nathaniel under the fig tree, but they zoom out, so Jesus ain't lurking around looking
Yeah.
at him. I get.
Well,
I don't know
that's
if people
true.
Think
Yeah.
that
Show his.
maybe
by
people think
himself.
that people
that Jesus like had walked by and saw him.
I don't know if that's, but I like how they zoom out. Nobody's around,
Mhm.
and then when he mentions, "I saw you," and that's purely because he is God.
Well, see, I didn't thought about it that way. That's an interesting way of looking at that. I looked at it as they're showing the God's eye view.
Yeah, that's the way.
It does that, but it
Yeah.
looked to me like they when they zoom out like that,
that's
you're
what-
not looking at it from God's perspective. That's the God perspective.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that too. That's
And then when he says, "I saw you on the fig tree," you're thinking, "Oh, that was that zoom out."
Yeah, that's why he's like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
you are the Son of God." Yeah.
And my mother-in-law pointed out she really liked how they made that a meaningful experience. He just wasn't like walking down a road and decided to take a break and eat a sandwich and sat under a fig tree.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was like a monument, a momentous event in his life that happened under a fig tree, and Jesus says, "I saw you there."
Yeah.
Who knows if that was the case? But I like how they made that where it's like this was this
Breaking
heart-rending breaking point moment.
Yeah. Of
in
his
his-
entire life. And then
Yeah.
That turns around and becomes a great,
What
turning point in his life.
What I didn't like was when what was it? He burned.
He burned his
thing, and then he's-
drawings.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, sackcloth and ashes. You put
Yeah.
ashes on you
Oh,
as
okay.
a sign of destruction. When Job has that, when Job does
Yeah.
he puts
That's
ashes in
right.
sack. He dress in sackcloth and they throw ashes and dirt on them. That's a Jewish thing.
Yeah,
Okay, that's right.
really
We're gonna start practicing that in church.
Finally.
Whenever Daniel eats a donut he's not supposed to, we're like,
Yeah, you and I were gonna do it.
burn
I
it
don't
and
eat
put
donuts.
it on you.
Burn the box.
Yeah,
When the box
burn
is
the
empty.
box and then sprinkle it on your head.
Actually, I'm gonna start eating donuts now,
Yeah.
just so I can see everybody in ashes. Yeah, that was pretty cool. They built that up to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I'm devastated," and you think that he's gonna go and kill himself. That's to me what it seems like. He's gonna go and commit.
Well, yeah, well, he just looks like he's like someone who just doesn't know. And again, it's that I think it's all that the whole thing to me. They wrote it. with the view that we're trying to come across that there's no guile in him.
Mhm.
So it's his sense of honesty, it's his sense of integrity, right? Which wouldn't allow him to actually commit suicide. But then he's at his wits' end. He doesn't know what to do.
What to do?
He doesn't know where to go or what to do, how to. He's lost. It's like it's it, and my life should end, but I can't. And so what do you do? Where do you go from there?
Right.
So then he finds Jesus, and all of a sudden now he has a chance to build something. I love that about the show. That brings up a point I really like about the show, and that is that they have abstracted away from the scriptures all the hidden meaning that evangelicism has built into it, right? So evangelicism as a centuries long movement has seen the terminology of the New Testament that Jesus uses, the parables, these things, and has built meaning. And like Jesus said those because they were meaningful in themselves.
Okay.
So he uses sheep because sheep have this are inherently meaningful towards the gospel.
They use goats. They use
That this is basically technical language that he had to use because it had inherent meaning. They've gone away from that. They have Jesus using these because it's meaningful to you, not because it's meaningful in itself. You understand what I'm saying? Or not? Not really?
Not 100%.
It's like Jesus says the sheep, the 99 and the 1. Why did he use sheep? Was it because sheep have some symbolic inherent meaning? Whether you know what a sheep is or not, he would have said it anyways, because sheep have an inherent meaning.
As in like types or
Types
Okay,
and
I see
yeah,
where you're
exactly.
going. Yeah.
Or is it because you have sheep and you know what sheep are?
Yeah.
And so when he's talking to you that you're a shepherd, he's going to talk about sheep.
Right.
Not because sheep have meaning,
Exactly.
but because you understand sheep. But you're a fisherman, and so I'm going to tell you you're going to catch fish. See, we've put a lot of inherent meaning in, I'll make you fishers of men. Like he would have said that to a shepherd, I'll make you fishers of men. And he would have said it to an architect, I'll make you fishers of men. And to a tax collector.
Right.
See what I mean?
I see what you mean.
Evangelicism has a tendency to want to make those things meaningful inherently.
I see what you're saying.
They have gone, and I'm not criticizing either way. I'm just pointing out that if you think about sermons you've heard preached on these things, like when he tells Peter, I'll make you fishers of men, tells Nathaniel, you're going to build something more meaningful, more lasting, right? He tells, I forgot what he told Matthew, but it was something to do with money and counts and accounts or something. And every one of them, he tells them something that is particular to them. Meaning that there's no inherent meaning in it in itself.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see
He's just using whatever you're familiar with to convey a message to you.
So anytime I see that little fish on the back of the windshield, I got to go up to the driver and go, "You fish? You don't take that fish off your windshield."
Jesus didn't say that
He
to
didn't
you.
say that to you.
That's not for
you. Don't
you.
fish. You have sheep.
You're appropriating.
Yeah.
Cultural appropriation there. Cultural appropriation. We're going to cancel you.
So then, if you're saying that he's taking certain characters and making them realistic to an individual, right? So making it making it able to relate to someone. So who is the architect? Is he like a businessman?
Nathaniel was the architect.
I know. I'm saying is the chosen trying to say that this is for like the businessman?
No.
Is that what you're?
No, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that they're approaching the scriptures from a very different perspective than evangelicals tend to, especially, let's say, preachers, pastors, teachers of the Bible. We tend to look at these stories and think these stories are inherently meaningful. The elements that are being used are inherently meaningful. They had to have been used. You couldn't have used anything else. And they're taking the approach of saying Jesus has a point he's trying to get across, and he's using whatever you understand to do that. So if you're a builder,
Okay.
right? Like Andrew, who was it that was working with Jesus? Said he was working with Jesus in season 1, building construction.
Wasn't it James? Big James?
No, they were fishermen.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. It was.
They were building a living.
Is the other guy? Who was he?
Thaddeus?
Thaddeus.
Was it that?
I think it's
I think you're
Thaddeus.
right. I think it was Thaddeus.
Yeah, it was one of the characters that haven't really been expounded on very much. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
it's
who were
Thaddeus.
working, and they met him when they were building a porta-john.
The Porta John, yeah.
Yeah.
A latrine.
Yeah, a latrine.
Latrine, yeah.
They were building a latrine, and that's where they met Jesus. Jesus was doing the
no.
wood steps.
I like how they did that.
Yeah. But in all of those cases, they have Jesus talking to them in their language, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the point isn't the language he used. He could have said it with fishes. He could have said it with sheep. He could have said it with bricks. He could have said it with any onions or tomato. It didn't matter. He would just take whatever he knew you understood, right, and explain it to you in that language. And and evangelicism has tried to elevate that language to be inherently meaningful, to the point of, and I think that this makes is like, so if Jesus ever says it in a different word, if you have a movie or a show of Jesus and he says these things with different words, that's not acceptable. Because he used a sheep. He didn't use a cow or a dog or a cat. He said sheep, and if you say anything else, then you're destroying the type of the scriptures, and he's the Lamb of God and all those things. You're destroying all that, right? Because the terminology is inherently meaningful. What they're saying is, no, you can say this in infinite number of ways.
Yes.
And you're saying the same thing.
Yes.
Right.
Now, that is not to say that we don't have the scriptures and then therefore we can just go and change them and write a new Bible, right? With different words. We do, even though it could have been said infinite number of ways, this is my view, my opinion, even though the way things that Jesus said and the elements he used, the examples and illustrations, could have been an infinite number of different ways, they aren't. That is what he said. Yes. And it's not our place to then say, well, that's the same as this. Because we don't have any way to gauge that. We have no way to know that. We're like, well, he said sheep, but it could be feral hogs. Like, probably not. Maybe not. Who knows? I mean, we're not in the position with that authority if we're rewriting the Bible, if we're translating the Bible. Now, they're not doing that. Right? They're dramatizing the Bible.
They're dramatizing.
But that's how it's always very interesting to me when I see that. That I don't know. That's probably a little too subtle or nuanced for many people who are just wanting to enjoy the show. When I look at it, I'm thinking, that's very interesting. That's a very different way of approaching it. Because the actual elements and illustrations and everything he used has always been very sacred for evangelicals. I don't know if everybody, but a lot. I mean, whole sermons are built on the actual elements that are used. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but it's a perspective in which we're saying he couldn't really have said it any other way. Those are the right words to say it with. Yeah. And they're saying, no, he can talk to Nicodemus and say it one way. He can talk to Matthew and say it another way. And he's saying the same thing to every one of them. Right? I'm going to call you. You're going to build me a city. You're going to catch me fish. You're going to pasture my sheep. You're going to, and is he telling them they're doing different jobs? No. What he's saying is you're going to do all the same thing, and he's putting it in the words they understand. I don't know if I'm making myself clear.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I understand. I can't explain it though.
Daniel's still confused.
Yeah,
he doesn't believe you.
Confused. That is just no.
We'll circle back, Daniel. Don't worry. We'll circle back.
Circle back.
Yeah, we'll circle back.
Circle back with me, please.
So I like that a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things that they do in their writing that I think that the average or casual viewer, I think probably doesn't catch. I think because it is incredibly layered. It's amazing to me the doctrinal depth that they build into this show, into the writing of this show. It's really surprising to me. And I don't know that I'm catching it all. I mean, there could be someone out there that's watching it and they're like seeing things that I'm not seeing. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm like this brilliant, insightful person, but what I see, I know that the people I watch it with often are not seeing what I'm seeing there. And so and to me that's good, because it means that if I wrote the show, no one who understood less than me would understand it. That's the problem with me. They are writing a show that I think every level of listener, viewer,
just for entertainment,
and can get a lot out and enjoy it at all levels, which to me is great writing.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're just wanting to just casually watch it, you're gonna love it, or you're gonna hate Jesus.
Those are the only two options.
Those are the only two options. You either love The Chosen or you hate Jesus. I don't make the rules. I just inform you of them.
It sounds like a new Freeborn shirt.
I don't make the rules.
You can watch a show and you can appreciate it just at the level of entertainment. Interesting, right? and you can look at it and look at the nuance, the doctrinal nuance. And I know they're not doing it accidentally because they consult with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a lot of consultants of many different Christian branches and Jewish ones
Yeah.
that they deal with and trying to get things right, both the historical authenticity and doctrinal things. They consult with pastors who give their perspective on the passages of Scripture and how they relate to other passages of Scripture. So they're doing all that, and as in so much as I'm able to appreciate it, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually pretty cool that they're not scared of going and asking a Jewish rabbi,
Yeah.
right?
That is interesting.
They're not
Or a
scared-
Catholic priest.
They're not scared of asking a Catholic priest of, hey, can you tell me what do you think of this? That's actually really cool. Like, yeah, let's get all these opinions and write something good down.
Well, what I like is that they're like they want to consult with him because they want it to be acceptable on a wide spectrum, right? You can't exclude Catholics if you're doing entertainment, and they're very clear. They're not a ministry, they're not a church, they're not a nonprofit. They're a for-profit entertainment industry. They're trying to appeal to the biggest amount of people they can, right? So they're not going to alienate Catholics on purpose. They're not going to alienate Jews on purpose, right? But it's impressive to me that they are willing to put things in that they believe is what the source material says, even if it doesn't appeal to Catholics or Jews or Christians.
I also like that they
like Peter being married.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. When they started, I wondered what they're going to do with that.
Yeah.
Because Catholics are adamant that's not the case.
Yeah.
Adamant that he wasn't married. And they have him married. I mean, with a wife and a mother-in-law and the whole thing. I mean, it's a big part of the show.
Yeah, they make a big point.
So while they're consulting, they're not. It's very obvious they are not being told what to do by the.
That's great.
It is great.
You know, I also like. Well, I guess I like it and I don't like it, but like, remember the wedding gift? I think that's what it's called. Well, they never show Jesus drinking.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So when
you sure about that?
Yeah. So he has the cup, right? And when the camera zooms out, he goes behind a person, and he never drinks. You never see him do that. Which is
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Have you analyzed that?
Analyze it, but I never saw him drinking.
He doesn't drink.
I have
it.
not seen it.
Yeah,
I haven't watched every little second
he
of
never
it.
picks it up and drinks it, which is pretty interesting to me that they did that.
I'm gonna have to go
Let's
back
look
and
it
look
up.
at it.
'Cause I
we
heard
don't
that
have time
argument with people that want to drink alcohol. Well, Jesus turned water into wine, and every single time.
You do believe Jesus drank wine, don't you?
I do.
I believe he probably did, yeah, but not. I don't think he got drunk or anything.
No,
like
I'm not
that,
saying he got
obviously,
drunk, but everybody drank wine.
right. It was
There wasn't
culturally-
a soda vendor machine,
What?
and you couldn't drink. What?
No.
Dr. Pepper wasn't around.
pretty sure it was.
It flowed right out of the Garden of Eden.
No,
one of the-
he made like 100 gallons of wine, so they can party for however many days it was. I think it's. Don't they say that? Like in Jewish tradition, like they go for like the whole
Oh yeah,
week?
it's like a whole It's
It's a crazy celebration. He was a teetotaler. He never
Drank water the whole time.
He drank water the whole time. I'm not too sure about.
Nobody drank water. That was very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Yeah, that was extreme. Drinking water, and even today, anywhere outside of very civilized Western nations is extremely dangerous. Just to talk about that for a moment, just to give people an idea of what we're talking about, because you don't realize it. You live in America, you think, well, oh, come on. Yeah, tap water can taste kind of nasty sometimes, but it's not that bad. I mean, we're exaggerating.
Tap water does.
So if you go if you watch these shows, like I like that show Alone, or I used to, I haven't watched it in a while. Have you ever seen that where they put people out like in the wilderness by themselves?
Yeah.
They'd like take 12 contestants or however many, and they all get put onto this like huge island, but by themselves. And it's inaccessible. It's like huge mountains. You can't get to each other. And you just have to, it's whoever can last the longest. You have like a pack, and that's it.
You can take like 15 items. or
Yeah,
12
15 items. And you have to find food, build shelter, and there's nobody there. No filming crew, nothing. You have to film yourself, and it's whoever can last the longest gets $1 million.
And do you know when the other people leave or no?
No, you don't.
So
You
can-
only know at the end. If you're the last one, they come and get you. When the
Okay.
next to the last one leaves, they come and get you,
Okay.
and you
That's
won.
what I was wondering.
But you have a radio, and it has a satellite radio, and you can call and tap out.
Gotcha.
So whoever taps out last or whoever lasts the longest wins.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It is cool. It's super cool. Love that show.
It's cool. I wouldn't do it.
I would.
I'd do it.
I would definitely do it.
I don't think I could.
I'd probably lose, but I would definitely do it.
What do you
Definitely
win?
do it. $1 million.
$1 million?
Yeah.
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 It's pretty awesome.
Didn't Joe
And
Rogan
basically,
have
most of the people,
Yeah.
he was the best one, I think. But anyways, most of the people, they just win just by just starving
Yeah.
because it's so hard to get food.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to get
I'll
food.
turn into John the Baptist.
Yeah, they eat
Well,
bugs, they try, but you can't live on them. You can't
you
get
have to get a
enough.
ton of
They're
them.
just they lose tons of weight. So the ones that go in that have most weight to lose, most body fat, and they don't try to do anything. The ones who try to build something,
Okay.
they tap out. The guys that
Use
just
all
find a
their
cave
energy.
and just crawl in there and just sleep for 40 days, they win. That's how you win. Just do nothing. Anyway,
Yeah.
so then they're in this pristine environment, right? Pristine environment, crystal clear rivers. The ones that get sick is because they drink the water.
Like hallucinations.
Yeah, like
really?
hallucinating,
Yes.
diarrhea, dysentery, just completely
Wow.
just destroys you. You have to boil it.
Well, they had
If you can't start fire, you're not
the
going to
guy lost on his first day because he lost his filter. His
his
water
little
filter. He took
straw?
a water filter.
Oh,
with him.
really?
You don't remember that?
I don't.
He's dummy. Set it down on the shore.
No, it wasn't a
doing
water
something.
filter. It was this. I know who you're talking about. It was this.
No, it was a water thing because he says, "Well, I guess I'm just gonna try and drink the water without it."
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well,
and
another
then
guy lost his striker to light fire, and he didn't know how to do it without it.
Maybe it was that.
That was that, and he
Okay.
couldn't boil. He
Doing
couldn't
the
start water.
So he said, "Well, I guess I'll try the water without it," and he started hallucinating and had to call the.
This is crystal clear, pure water, out in an island with there is no civilization. There's no people around, so you can't think, well, it's because there's a factory.
Contaminated
Nothing.
or anything.
It's because there's fecal matter in all water.
Yeah.
Animals, every type of animal you can imagine, defecates in the water. Fish, lizards, frogs, sheep, hogs, buffalo. They're all doing
Bears.
it. Bears, everyone. It's just full of it. You drink water, you die.
Yeah.
And that's with no people. Now imagine with people. So, yeah, no. The idea that they're drinking water is absolutely ridiculous.
No, yeah.
Yeah, the leopards would wash themselves in the rivers.
Yes.
I ain't drinking that.
That's a good point.
I ain't drinking any water ever.
But they did it
Give it a line.
downstream. No, drinking water is extraordinarily dangerous.
Yeah.
Our civilization has made it where it's like you can just open a tap and drink water and be fine. It's all the chlorination. They chlorinate the lines.
Oh,
Which
you
is
get
great
taste
for
the
us.
chlorine, the chlorine in it.
Yeah.
It tastes good.
And that causes a whole bunch of other things I want to deal with in another podcast. But anyways, so yeah, the idea that Jesus didn't drink wine, I think, is just completely laughable, just silliness.
Yeah, I think so too.
And and they say, well, he only drank grape juice. It's like it was grape juice for like 2 days.
Yeah. It ferments, you know that.
Immediately, they have to immediately, or if not, it spoils.
Yeah.
You have to immediately begin the fermentation process, or it'll spoil
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. But yeah, back to that.
But I have to look at that. I'm sorry, we got off on a tangent, but I'll have to go back and look at that because
Yeah, you're gonna be like,
that would be
wow,
very interesting if
the
they do that.
inside of his inner thoughts are just.
Do you think it was to
amazing.
not offend the
think so.
teetotaler crowd, to not
Probably.
actually showing them drinking,
I think so.
or to not have an issue, not to have to deal with the issue altogether?
That's exactly what it is. Let's not deal with the issue. Let's just not have him drink.
I'm gonna go back and look at that.
Yeah, you're gonna see it.
I think it kind of satisfied both because he has a cup.
Yeah.
So you can satisfy the people like you that say he obviously drank it. At the same time, you can say, yeah, but he didn't actually put it to his mouth in the show. So
Technically, never drink.
it kind of satisfied both. It's pretty
anything.
brilliant.
I'm gonna
He
look
doesn't
at that.
drink ever on the show.
Ever. Not even in those after he's ministered by.
See, the way he made it is he'd look in the mirror and go, "I have water, you know not." Never had to drink anything.
Where'd you get water?
I just got it.
See, that's why wells were so important because they actually filter all that out. You can't drink it out of a stream. But if you dig a well, the ground will filter out the water and you can drink water from a well. Not saying every well is that way. You can have wells that are contaminated, but the best chance you had in those days of drinking water is going to be
A well.
out of a well was going to be your best water. It's going to be filtered out. The ground filters it all out.
Well, they obviously had plenty at the wedding because they filled all those pots with the water. So
Yeah.
he could have drank water the whole time at the wedding.
Yeah.
It's not impossible.
Yeah, and that's a lot of water that they had to fill. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I do think he actually drank.
But see, the water that they're using is water for cleaning. It's like the water that you see. It's like that time I went into that bathroom in New Braunfels, and on top of every urinal says not to drink the water.
What's going on in New Braunfels?
I know. I'm like, no, where was it? Was it New Braunfels? I'm sorry. I'm maligning the good folks of New Braunfels. It was Kerrville, one of these little towns suburbs or outskirts of San Antonio, maybe Kerrville, but in their convention center, they had it on top of every urinal, a sign that says, we use recycled water, don't drink it.
Oh, goodness.
On top of every urinal, I'm thinking, is there really a problem? Is there
If there is a
like a
People
epidemic
walk in
here?
and
People like the Blue Fountain.
What's up with that from the movie?
It comes from the Blue Fountain. I don't understand that.
If there is a
Weird.
problem, just let them drink it. Just-
Yeah, but
just
the
let 'em-
water that they are using
fine.
and the jugs they used were the washing
Yes.
jugs. That's what's interesting about what Jesus did. And that's why it says at the end of the story, and I don't think they did that. I think they got this a little wrong in the show. I don't think they understand what exactly happened there. Or I don't. One of us doesn't because I don't see it the way they do. And it's obviously them that was wrong.
I don't know.
Just to be clear, in case there's any doubt as to what I'm saying, it's not real humility. No, it says that they were the jugs of purification, and that when they made the wine and gave it, and then they all loved it. It says that the servants didn't say anything about where it came from because they knew where it came from. It came out of these. You're not supposed to drink out of these jugs. That's where you wash your feet and stuff with. That's where the water for washing comes from.
Okay.
That's dishwater.
Yeah.
He
Worse.
used so the idea that he's using this pure water, that was kind of the point. He didn't even have as I see it, the point is he doesn't even have this clean water. He takes basically dishwater and turns it into wine, which is probably apropos because that's about what wine is. It's like nasty dishwater.
No.
It's disgusting
Not my
stuff.
wine.
Not
That stuff
my
was
wine.
disgusting.
I don't drink. But if I did.
But if I did. Yeah, that's that. I'll have to go back and look at that.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think of the we kind of covered episode 2. That's where Philip comes in. I like Philip a lot. I like how they're portraying the character because he's like the one apostle who seems to be selfless,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? All the others are
working
arguing
their
for
angle.
themselves. Yes, a very good way of
They're
putting
working
that.
their own angle.
Very good way.
Yeah.
They're working their own angles.
Yeah,
even
even-
Matthew, in a sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Even when everyone's complaining, he kind of complains a little bit, but then he says, "But this is good. Like this is rough, but it is good."
Well, I don't think he complains. I see what you're saying, but I wouldn't call it he complains. I think he validates their
That's a good.
right,
Good way to put
but he says, but it's good.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's rough, but good. So he's not complaining. He's contextualizing it.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I don't complain. I contextualize things.
Oh, yeah.
This is the worst.
But good.
But
That's all you gotta say. I hate my life, but it's good.
That's the
But
old,
that's good.
Bless his heart.
Yes, exactly.
He's a complete moron. Bless his heart.
Philip is contextualizing
Yeah.
things.
So then we're going to episode 1.
Well, just on Philip, I really like his character. I really like what they're doing. They got somebody there who's like, I want to serve, I want to work, and I like how they're doing it. It's like it's not because Philip is better than them. It's because he spent all that time with John. So basically, they're saying, right, he's already been trained.
He's prepared.
He's really been trained.
Yeah.
And so they're bringing in an idea that, John really prepared people for the Messiah. So the one's coming from John, which is Andrew, and he has more of that attitude.
Yeah, he does.
Right? And then Philip was even longer there, and he seems to be he's like Uber Andrew. So yeah, Andrew 2.0. And so I like that they're doing that. See, that's what I'm talking about, the nuance of what they're doing. It's not just throwing stuff out there. I would love to talk with the writers and see if this is if it's just like I'm just reading stuff into and they're like, oh, these are great ideas.
Yes, yes, we did that too.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did, right? But I can't hardly believe it because there's so many of these things that fit together that it just seems to me that they have put massive amounts of effort and time into the underlying story. But then again, just to counterbalance that, right? So they don't get a big head, assuming they ever see this, and they won't never see this. But
they might.
No.
I'll talk to them.
You'll talk, okay. but they do have, like the greatest source material to start with. The New Testament has been poured over by millions of people over 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Every detail of it has been dissected in infinite numbers of ways. So they have tremendous and documented. Right, you have it is the most researched and documented book in history. So you can just go and read all these opinions on it and views and just glean all this from it,
right?
And without even having to hire a consultant, you just open up all these commentaries and read on that passage. Thousands, tens of thousands of commentaries. So they have tremendous source material to start with. So it's that's
they basically did nothing.
Yeah, I could have done that show. I could have made that show.
Yeah.
But this, to me, illustrates how lousy previous attempts have been.
Yeah.
They're so bad now that you put it that way.
How can it be so bad? How can you get it so wrong? You have tens of thousands of commentaries to look at for people who have inspected this, and you just go, no, I'm just going to close my eyes and write it however I want it to be. And it's just lousy. It's terrible. They get everything wrong.
I think it's because they have an agenda on we're going to make a story about this particular thing.
I think it's because Hollywood has no respect for the original material. Everybody in Hollywood wants to make it their vision.
Yes.
I have my vision.
Like a Noah.
Yes.
A Noah movie. I was so excited to watch that. And
it's just
then I heard bad
horrible.
things. I was like, I'm just going to watch it knowing that it's not biblical, that I'm going to watch it for the entertainment. I was like, I can't watch this.
It wasn't even entertaining.
No, it's just ridiculous.
Well, at least that director he's secular. He's not a Christian. What about
It doesn't matter though to
me. What I
me.
mean by that is that what about like people that do like the Left Behind series and stuff like that? They're saying that they're Christians and
that's Dallas's dad you're talking about.
Well,
Let's use a different example, please.
Oh, okay, sorry. Everybody's looking at me.
Blasphemous. Blasphemy.
Get rocked.
No, I don't see. My problem with the Left Behind isn't that it's not. I think they're as biblical as any prophetic literature could be. I don't have an issue with that at all. What I'm talking about is where they take the New Testament. Like there's a show or a mini. I think it's a series. It may be a movie. I can't remember. On the Apostle Paul. No.
Oh. Okay.
On the Apostle
Which
Paul
one,
with
though?
Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins plays Paul.
It's Paul. Yeah.
It's terrible. Just terrible.
Haven't seen it.
And it's terrible,
I've
not
tried
because
to
it's
watch
not scriptural, but because they ignore the scriptures.
Yeah.
It's like it's anti-scriptural. It's like, nah, we have our own views.
Yeah.
It's inspired by the Bible.
Yeah, and
It's
how
like,
old they made him, Paul.
That's
so
not
early in his. I mean, just
Right,
the
I mean,
start of it is just.
Well, that's because
annoying.
Anthony Hopkins always plays Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
he
Everyone
still
says he's
had
a great actor,
British-
but he just means he's a great person
still has
because he
a
plays
British
himself.
accent. He never changed his accent.
No,
He's
he
just
doesn't do
He's
voices.
like a British Paul.
They're like, I play Anthony Hopkins. He's like the John Wayne of the Brits, right?
Yeah.
John Wayne played John Wayne. There was,
interesting.
yeah. But no, I mean, like they just don't take it seriously. The miracles that he supposedly does, they show it to be like people just misunderstanding common phenomena or natural phenomena, stuff like that. Not taking the text seriously. And it's not that I object to it as a Christian. This is where I get so. This is what is so hilarious to me. Anyone who objects to this show, The Chosen, saying that it doesn't follow the Bible 100%. It's like, okay, so did you watch The Matrix? Did that follow the Bible 100%?
Don't.
Did you watch Superman? Did you watch Avengers? Does any movie or TV show you watch follow the Bible 100%?
Yeah.
Well, they follow the Bible 0%.
Zero.
You watch them as entertainment.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can watch this as entertainment. I'm not feeble-minded. I don't actually think that's the Bible.
Right.
Right? I have a Bible. I read it. I teach it. I understand that they're dramatizing. They're expanding.
Yes.
And I understand all that. And it's great entertainment that I think takes the Bible very seriously.
Very seriously.
Very seriously.
Yeah.
In fact, I think that many of the places that people point at and say they don't like it are them taking it more seriously
Than them.
than anyone else. Give you an example of how I think this show takes the Bible so seriously. More seriously than almost anything I've ever seen, even from academic scholars writing about the Bible, not entertainment, even more seriously than them. They have the authors of the scripture being the actual nominal authors. There's the ones who are named.
Yes.
Many academics, scholars, biblical scholars, do not believe Matthew wrote Matthew. They don't believe that Peter wrote 2 Peter.
Right.
They don't believe that John wrote John. John the Apostle wrote the Gospel of John. They don't believe those wrote those. They don't believe they were even written in their lifetimes. That's many of them. If you went to a Christian seminary, a mainstream Christian seminary, you almost for sure are going to be taught that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they do.
They say...
They do that with Peter when he's walking with Jesus. And he tells him, like, well, one day with God is like 1,000.
Well, yeah, he says,
Yeah.
talk to my Father in heaven.
Talk
Where
to
does
my
Peter
Father.
get that one day with God's as 1,000 years?
Exactly.
Well, they have Jesus telling him
Telling
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then they
They
have
respect him.
and they have John sitting on the other side of that parquet
Yes.
wall. Parquet wall, what is it called? Yeah, that little short wall, little
Yeah.
pony wall.
Yeah,
With
He's
the
on the other
stairs.
side of that little pony wall on the stairs, overhearing, right, eavesdropping on Jesus and Nicodemus's conversation,
Yep.
and writing it down as they're doing it. That is saying that not only did the nominal writers actually write it,
Yeah.
but they wrote it as it was happening, not from recollections later on.
Right.
They actually were taking
Taking
at least notes
Yeah. It seems like they're taking
as it
notes
was
on
happening,
Yeah. Well,
which is mind blowing.
it is mind blowing.
I'm telling you, there are pastors in churches who don't believe that.
Yeah, that's weird.
Well, it's
No,
not.
it's probably not weird.
It's a perfectly fine. I'm not criticizing people who say I don't think John actually wrote the Gospel of John. I think that he wrote notes or it's based on his recollection or something. I don't actually have an issue with it. I don't agree with it from a merely academic level. I don't agree with that perspective or that view. But you can't argue that they are taking the actual writing of the Scripture far more seriously than pretty much anybody else out there.
Well, that works perfect into the first episode in chapter 2, right? Because isn't that where John is writing, or he's taking down the interviews?
Well, yeah, that's how it starts. He's
Right.
interviewing
He's
people
interviewing
When they're
to
older.
get to build his gospel up, not just
Exactly.
his recollections, right? But he's talking to them. I love how they have Matthew in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was about May 3rd on about the second hour.
Yeah. It doesn't have to.
Great.
It doesn't have to be perfect. Mine's gonna be perfect or precise. I think it is.
Mine will be precise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes and writes the genealogy like so precise. It's
Yeah.
like, wow.
Doesn't Peter say something about that? I think Matthew has that covered. or
Yeah,
something
Matthew
like
has that covered.
that. Yeah. The genealogies and all
Yeah.
that.
He asks Mary, and he goes, "Well, why don't you do the genealogy?" And then John
John
says,
says
it.
I think Matthew's got that covered.
That's so cool. That was interesting too. How
Yes.
how he comes up with the word. How in the first
beginning.
episode he comes up with the word. It's like,
Again,
whoa.
going back to the comment one of you made on, I forget now which one it was. You guys just said it, but it was a similar situation. Oh, about the 1,000 years. One day is 1,000 years. This is again taking the scriptures very seriously. Where did John get this great idea?
Yeah.
Where did Peter come up with this tremendous phrase?
Yeah.
Jesus said it. It wasn't Peter. That is saying all of this material originates in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Peter did not
No.
conceive in his own mind one day as like 1,000 years. Jesus just told him that. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened.
Right, right.
Peter could very well have basically conceptualize that and put that in his own words. The point isn't that. My point isn't that. My point is they're saying the scriptures are divine. We're going to illustrate that, and we may not, the ways we illustrate it actually might not be the way that happened, but it illustrates the broad point that did happen.
Yes.
That these are the words of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
The apostles are clear on that. They would say these are the words of Christ. We are just saying what we heard him say.
Right.
Now, whether they may have coined a phrase themselves that Jesus didn't coin, maybe, but I don't think they would have taken credit for it even then.
No.
Because it's all based on his teaching. But that's taking it so seriously. It's like, I'm amazed by it. I've never seen anything. I have not heard sermons that take the scriptures this seriously.
Not even your own?
Not even my own sometimes, yes. I'm telling you, I've heard sermons that do not take the scriptures as seriously as they are, which is astounding to me. It's like, wow, this is, because they say we're trying to entertain, but they are being so
Respectful.
so respectful of the material. They're saying, and this is what I look at, and I've said this before. I've said this for a long time, but I've been wanting someone to make one on the life of Paul. Right now, I think it'd be a letdown. Now that I see what they've done with Jim, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's better. That's better, right? Yeah. But I did, and because I wanted someone to do it who would take it seriously, and say, okay, this is the most sold book in the world. Let's assume it's well written.
Yeah.
Let's assume it's well thought out. It's the most analyzed book. It's the most troubleshooted book or shot book. And there's every way you could examine it and say, this is a book that has undergone the most critical review. Let's just assume it's good. And let's make a movie on this book. Not inspired by that, and then we write our own stupid Hollywood version.
Yeah. Yeah, the only one that I can think of is it's not even a movie. It's just reading the whole book of the whole book of John. Yeah, whatever. You guys don't like it, whatever.
What?
Like
they're reading it and they're acting as it's being
Who's
read.
reading it?
No,
There's a narrator.
It's
narrated.
characters. There's characters. So
They're doing voices. It's voice
voices.
narration.
It's voice narration.
But they're just reading it.
But they're just reading. They don't add anything to it. So there's background music and there's background.
That just make me laugh. I mean,
it's pretty cool. It's kind of cool to see the words like in
right.
TV, right. It's actually pretty cool, but I don't see anything else doing it like the way The Chosen is.
No one's doing it the way The Chosen's doing it. They're not. Not that I have found, and I've sampled most Christian movies just to confirm that I really do hate them.
Have you ever seen that one that they do with the life of Paul, and they show him as with a best friend that was a Sadducee? And he was a Pharisee. You've never seen that?
No, I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, and
they despise each other.
Yeah, well, they were friends, but they would always
argue,
make fun of each other. Like, this guy, he thinks there's gonna be a second coming, or Jesus is gonna come and liberate us, and there isn't. It's kind of like that banter throughout. You've never seen that one?
No, I've never even heard of it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they dramatize it a lot, but it actually follows.
See, I like the other one of
scriptures.
Paul, the one they did recently with Jim Caviezel as Luke.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that one.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Although that one didn't take the text nearly as seriously as The Chosen is, but I did like it, and it did have a line in there that I think Paul should have said. Right, if when you live for this life, it's like when you grab a fistful of water, right? But when you live for the life to come, it's like living for all the water in the sea. So I forget how the line goes, but it's a comparison between living for this life is trying to hold a fistful of water, but the life to come is like having all the water in the sea. It's a great line, fantastic line. Just not in the Bible.
It's not in the Bible.
Well, it's not in your Bible. It's in my Bible now. I just wrote it in. I just wrote it in. Revelation chapter 22.
P.S.
No, that's not the book to do it in. You have to go to.
Well, that's at the end. It's where the blank page is, so you just have to start there. I don't have a blank page in Romans. P.S. That's right.
Yes.
Epilogue.
Oh yeah, and
and
another thing I forgot. You have to do it when he forgets how many people he baptized.
And one other thing I forgot too.
Should have been mentioned long time ago.
That's funny. Talking about you mentioned about those dramatized narrations. I've heard ones like it.
Yeah.
And there's a whole Bible read that way. You can get a whole Bible that's read
Yeah,
that way, where they
it's
do
really good.
a bunch of people do the voices. They have background sound effects and all that. Right. Anyways,
It's typically
I
just
wasn't
the
talking
audio,
about
though.
those.
no, I know
It's like
it's audio.
Yeah,
No,
I don't
he's
like-
saying there's an audio and video.
Oh, it's video
acting.
too?
Yeah,
watch.
they're
Yes, they're
acting
acting.
Oh,
the
really?
the moments in the.
I've only heard
So,
the
like,
audio
it's
version.
not-
Yeah.
It doesn't flow like a movie.
No, I got you.
It just
They just act out
that
every
story,
verse.
what
Exactly.
verse,
Every
and then-
passage.
Yeah,
So like they're
And they only say the words that are in the
Oh,
text.
only the words.
Yeah. It's actually pretty cool.
I have to look at that. I haven't
like-
seen
Never
that.
seen those?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's
seen
pretty
them.
cool.
I have a natural aversion from Christian entertainment. I can't stand it.
I can't stand it.
I really can't. I can't stand it.
I don't like.
That's why
I
when
don't
they
like
first,
new
The Chosen
ones.
first came up on my feed, because I was the first one of all of us. So I am the greatest of all of us. I will sit on the left hand of Dallas.
Dallas.
No, it came up when they first released the Shepherd.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
that was the pilot, right? He made it for his church, but then they released it as like a pilot, and it came up, and I'm like, I'm not watching that. I'm just sick of the stupid Christian stuff, and so I'm not watching that.
Mhm.
And then it kept coming up, so I'm like, all right, I'll see it. Well, then I watched it. I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. That was pretty good.
Mhm.
And that was like not nearly what it is
Yeah.
now.
What shepherd one? Are we talking
Yes.
about?
You didn't know
When Jesus was born,
Yeah,
he did one
like
where
an
it's called the
activity, right?
Shepherd.
Yeah.
It's called the Shepherd.
that's a-
You have the shepherd who's like lame and he's running and
Yeah, I saw that one.
okay, that's the
That
pilot.
was really good.
And he did that as just like a little short film from the church. Vid Angel saw that and said, "Hey, we like that. Let's do a show."
Mhm.
And that's what then there. So it wasn't really made as part of the show. He made a bunch of them actually.
Yeah,
He
did
had
the
already cast
crucifixion,
Jesus as
yeah.
the actor, as Jesus, and he made a bunch of these little short films for his church with the same actor as Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
And had him with the apostles, and it has the same type of tone to it. They're joking around a lot and stuff, and then, yeah. But the shepherd one was like that was called the pilot,
Okay.
and I saw that one. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And then I saw episode 1, and then it was like, episode 1 just blew me away.
Yeah, that blew.
Mhm.
me
I was
away.
like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, this is something else entirely now.
Which most people didn't even know Mary had demons.
Mm-hmm.
They just think of her as the harlot, right? The one that's caught committing adultery or
Yeah, but there's no evidence that that's
there's-
her.
actually
Yeah,
her.
exactly. But when they go and say that she had demons, it's like, no, she didn't. I'm like, yeah.
Well, that's because they don't read the New Testament then.
Oh, okay.
Because it says it.
Yeah, it does say it.
He says he cast 7 devils out of her.
Devils.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, that's
Yeah.
going back to the whole thing that they're taking it very,
Yeah.
very respectful. It's like, yeah, this is exactly what happened.
Yeah. They're dramatizing what's there. They're not rewriting what's
Rewriting
there.
it. Yeah.
They're not being inspired by. Anyways, I was saying I just saw so this kind of The Chosen is kind of like renewed my faith in Christianity, right? And their entertainment industry, anyways, part of it. So I'm like, okay, I'll try some other ones. So I there's one on Netflix or somewhere called 40 Days and 40 Nights or something about the temptation of Jesus.
No, it's real bad.
Oh, it's so bad. And what's hilarious about it
It's real bad.
is they have Joseph. Now I like the character. Did you see it?
Yeah, I've seen
Joseph.
it. Yeah, Joseph.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
I don't know where they got this guy, this corn-fed
Yeah.
Bubba.
Yo, big boy.
Joseph, Jesus' dad,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, okay.
Mary's husband.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's in there. I mean, he's huge guy,
Yeah.
and he's Texan.
He's Texan?
He is. He talks with a drawl. It sounds hilarious.
It's so
Weird. It's like,
Yeah.
and it made me. It was strange to me because that's one thing about The Chosen. I'm always like not sure about. They're all doing the accent thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood all does this. If you're making a movie about foreign people in English, you do a bad accent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if they're gonna play Arabs or whatever, it's like they have. I can't do accents, so I won't even try.
I can't do accents.
But you know what I mean,
I
right?
guess I will.
But you watch The Chosen; they're all doing it. They all have like. It's all like they're. It's like to make you think they're speaking in Hebrew or in. I guess it would be. I'm not. It wouldn't be Hebrew. Probably it would be Aramaic.
But they didn't. They spoke English.
Well, Joseph did. He spoke Texan.
He was Texan.
So I've always thought, man, I don't know about that choice. All the Hollywood movies do it. If they're going to portray a foreigner, they have him, even if he's allegedly speaking in his language, but he's speaking in English, he does it with an accent.
Okay, yeah.
You see how that's weird? Because he wouldn't have an accent if he was speaking in that language. He would be speaking that language. But when they have him speak English, they have him speak with a bad accent.
Yeah.
Even though you're supposed to picture in your mind that he's actually speaking, let's say, in Chinese, right? But if he was in Chinese, he wouldn't have a bad Chinese accent. So why would he have a bad English accent if you're supposed... You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's weird. It's a weird choice, and I'm never sure about it. Well, then I saw an actor say, I'm not doing that. He speaks Texan.
And you're like,
And it's weird. It's like, okay.
Bring the accent.
Bring the accent back. That's weird.
Okay.
Because he's just like basically
talking.
y'all.
Yeah. Hey, y'all know me, know me.
It's not exaggerated, but you're listening. You're like, he's not even attempting to sound Aramaic, right? He's just talking in English.
He's like, yo, get.
That's terrible.
I haven't seen it.
But you have to watch it and pay attention to Joseph, and immediately he'll stand out. It'll be like,
Is everyone else speaking like with an
pretty
accent?
much, no.
Okay,
It's just like, we're not going to do that. We're just going to speak. But he has a very pronounced Southern accent.
interesting.
He's not faking it or putting it on. I mean, you can just tell that's how he talks.
Yeah.
So everyone, they basically said, I want you to just talk.
Huh.
And it is. And it's just like,
Oof.
especially in anything, when Jesus and Satan are interacting, it's not as much because that's like, you almost see that in another realm maybe. And so it doesn't seem as weird.
Yeah.
But when you got like they're Mary and Joseph and they're like, squeezing grapes or something, whatever it is they're doing. And you're obviously in Israel in the year 10 or whatever. And then they're talking in Texan. It's like, that's not working for me.
Not believable.
Y'all made a bad choice.
I do not believe this story.
The Matrix is the closest to the Bible I've ever seen. I think that's your wife, isn't it?
I
The
don't
one
know.
that says to pray.
Hey,
Yeah, the one who says just pray.
hey, just-
I think her account got hacked.
No, I totally agree with her. I totally agree with her. Let's not get into the Matrix.
No.
I will say that Star Wars is closer to the Bible than most Bible movies.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, don't even get me started on Star Wars neither. Anyways, no, yeah. Back to The Chosen. What episode are we in now?
We're on episode 2. We just finished episode 2 of the second season. So we have a long ways to go. Do you need some nourishment? Food. Do you have food? Where'd you get food?
Where'd you guys have food from?
Where'd you get food?
I haven't had breakfast. I don't mind. Let's keep going.
I haven't had breakfast. I told you. Little fatty.
Where's the ashes?
Get the ashes out.
There's no donuts.
No, but I was just saying that to me, I look at that and I've always wondered about it. When I saw that other movie, I'm like, yeah, the just speaking in English when it doesn't work. It's a weird thing. I like Mel Gibson's approach. He just had him speak Aramaic.
Yeah, that was cool.
And he didn't subtitle it either, right?
No, yeah, they're subtitled.
Is it?
Yeah, it's subtitled.
No.
Yeah, it's subtitled. Yeah, because I remember I have to read it. I'm like, what is he saying?
I don't think he subtitled it originally.
Unless somebody else subtitled it, but I know it was.
I think the big thing about it was he didn't subtitle.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I can't remember now. Was it that one or was it the second one he made about the Mayans? Apocalyptico. One of them.
The Apocalyptico does have subtitles as well.
It does?
Yeah, because so I know this word called ulak, and in the bottom it's almost. So that's why I know that word ulak, because it was subtitled.
Boy, that's a long way around telling me.
I'm just giving you an example.
Giving me evidence.
And then
Like I'm
exactly.
I'm documenting my facts. Alrighty then.
Yeah.
What do
Just
you got?
in case you call me out later on.
Without
yeah.
no, okay. His original intention was to show it without subtitles, and later with the Latin Hebrew eventually was released. Okay, so I read about it when he was making it. Then that's why I have the mind, because I knew, yeah, that was his thing. He was not even going to subtitle it.
To me, that was more biblical than a lot of other stories, as far as the scourging Jesus goes and gets. He made it. Obviously, he was probably more dramatic. And,
Well, the Bible does not. See, that's the Catholicism of it. I'm very curious to see how the Chosen handles that when they get to the crucifixion.
Yeah, me too.
The Catholic approach and the sensationalist evangelical approach is to over sensationalize that whole thing. When the Bible gives us no details of that, of it being that sensational.
So then, when
Like the way you hear evangelical preachers say the cat of nine tails and ripping the flesh off his bones,
I'm not
and
saying that much, but I'm saying that it does say he's scourged.
yes,
So then, what does scourge mean? Scourge means
he's beaten.
He's beaten, but it also means.
I'm not saying it wasn't horrible. I'm just saying the Bible does not go into detail
well, if we
on
just
the.
use that word, scourge,
There's only one, but there's only one. Let me try and make my point. There's only one mention in the Gospels of Christ having actually expressing discomfort in the crucifixion. I'm not saying he wasn't in pain.
yes.
There's only one mention of him expressing that when he says that he was thirsty. The only one. There's no him falling.
No, yeah, that's
There's none
I
of
don't
him
see that.
crying in pain, writhing in pain, nothing.
I think I only see the only discomfort is when he feels abandoned.
No, that's not physical discomfort.
Oh, you said
I'm talking about it has
oh,
to
I
do
thought-
with the physical
I'm sorry, I didn't
ordeal
know
that
you
he's
said
put through.
Yeah.
The only mention of that discomfort that he makes mention of it
Yes.
is when he says he's thirsty.
Yeah, so I don't agree with like the whole falling, the whole not being able to carry the cross. I'm not saying that stuff. I'm talking about just the beating that he got.
But my point is that the way it's sensationalized, it really comes from a very a flawed Roman Catholic perspective of salvation itself.
Yeah.
That there has to be the elements of pain, suffering, inordinate thing, that it's all elemental to it,
Yeah.
and it's not.
So
It just
they put
isn't.
all of that in.
Yeah, they make it
example,
all, and you watch this, and they dramatize the crucifixion and sensationalize the crucifixion to such a deal because they believe that the actual pain suffered was elemental to the salvation. It's the same way that evangelicals who think that Christ had to actually go to hellfire and suffer eternity times infinity in the space of 3 days and 3 nights in order to atone for sin, that he had to suffer that way to do so.
Right.
It's in my opinion bad theology.
Right.
This is not to say that they didn't put Christ through hell or was beating him and it wasn't brutally horrible, and maybe he was completely disfigured as evangelicals like to try to sensationalize. It may have all been all of that, but the Gospels make no mention of that. It's not an issue because it's not part of the gospel. Christ could have died without pain. It wouldn't have made any difference.
Right.
In my opinion, theologically, it would have made no difference.
Yeah, the whole point is he died and rose again.
He died and the resurrection,
Right.
right? And so I'm really hoping the Chosen is respectful of that theology and not over sensationalize the crucifixion. I'm not saying that they portray it like they sterilize it, sanitize it, but that they not over sensationalize it.
Well, Catholics,
And that's what I think the Passion of the Christ did, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I see a lot of in Catholics and in, like the Passion of the Christ. They make it seem like he was the only one who was ever crucified ever.
Well, let me give you an example. That's just a good point. So let me give you an example of that you may not have noticed, but you'll immediately remember it when I say this. Think about every time you ever see a picture, a painting, a movie, or anything where it shows the 3 crosses. Jesus is nailed and the thieves are tied.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
The thieves are tied to the cross. Jesus is nailed to the cross because they have to show him suffering more than anyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. No.
That's my that was my problem with the Passion of the Christ. I liked the movie, and I thought it was a good movie. I thought it took it. I thought, like you said, they took it pretty seriously. My problem with the Passion of the Christ is that on the subtle theological front, I just thought it fell flat.
Yeah, it seems like he did. Yeah, he wasn't. His theology is obviously not.
Oh, he's Roman Catholic.
Yeah, it's obviously not, well. Yeah, if you go with Roman Catholic, then he did an amazing job.
Well, you look at any reenactment that Roman Catholics do in their processions,
Is exactly.
and it's like to try to be the most brutal,
Yeah.
painful thing, and to emphasize the pain that Christ suffered as if that were meaningful in itself. And look, I know some people might object, but if it were meaningful, why didn't the evangelists, the gospel writers, mention it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The exact. how
Why
many
did
times he
they
was there.
not drive home the point of such horrible things that he suffered? The only passage that evangelicals have to make that point when they like to sensationalize the crucifixion is the prophecy in Isaiah that he was disfigured.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we esteemed him not. Yeah.
Yeah, that sentence, he was disfigured.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only thing they have, because the gospel writers make no mention, except for that one phrase, I am thirsty. They make no mention of him expressing physical discomfort.
Yeah.
Not to say he didn't. And again, I want to be emphasized.
Yes.
I'm not saying he didn't. I'm saying it's not elemental. It is not significant to the gospel message.
Right.
And not only the gospel writers don't do it, the apostles in their preachings never mention it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't accuse anyone of
No.
doing these horrible things, of that the Romans beat him to a pulp. There's no mention of that at all. Anywhere in the New Testament, zero.
Mm-hmm.
The only marks that they talk about are prints in his hands and a side. That's it.
Yeah.
None of these scars on my back or nothing. There's no mention of anything else.
Mm-hmm. I think they're gonna do a good job.
I hope so. You know, Terry. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, go ahead. Either go, you're like the guy in the car. You're like, go, and then you go.
I hate those people.
Yeah, we hate
Like,
you
go, go.
people. We
Go,
hate
go,
you.
go,
He
go,
said
go.
he hates you.
You see this?
No, what were you going to say? You go.
No, I was just gonna say that. I totally forgot now because now
Terry.
I can't think.
Well, I was going to say,
Nothing about Terry.
no, I know. I was going to say that Terry brought up a really good point the other day. When we were watching the show. She says, you know, one thing she says I'm not liking about the show. I think is how she put it. She'll correct me. Trust me. When we get done, she may run in here and do it off air. Like,
I never said anything
Yeah.
bad about it.
yeah.
I
No,
know what she's gonna say.
but one thing she says, I'm not looking forward to the whole crucifixion thing,
Me
because I'm like getting all into this characters, and you know they're building up. It's not something that's going to happen in 6 seasons or whatever, right? And it's probably going to be a whole season just based on that one night, to be my guess. And that's just going to be brutal.
That's gonna be brutal.
Even if they do it like without the sensationalism that I'm talking about.
No, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
that's just. If I was the Jonathan Rumi who plays the Jesus, I would not be looking forward to that.
But he
No.
says that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't.
Says
I
that's
haven't
a-
seen-
I don't want to do that episode. He says on that interview with
Yeah.
with.
Well, he's done a bunch of them already
Yeah.
too, but he said he's not looking forward to it. Definitely.
That
No,
he's not prepared for it. Is kind of how he said.
yeah.
it.
Either am I.
Something
I'm like,
that.
that's gonna be just if they do it the way they did the episode 1 with Mary, the woman at the well, that kind of emotional buildup. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
gonna be.
Yeah, no viewing party for
There's
that
gonna be.
episode.
There's gonna be, and not joking now. There is gonna be dust and sackcloth and ashes there, and people watching. There's gonna be like feeling just. Oh man, that's just. That's why they have to do the resurrection. And that's what I didn't like the Passion of the Christ. They had just had that one like split second scene of Christ resurrecting, very little. They got to do the resurrection, and I think that's what they're planning on.
Was it Philip who had to put the finger in his wound?
Thomas.
Thomas.
Inside.
I was thinking the whole time I was thinking it was Philip, and I'm like, for someone who knows what's gonna happen, because he seems like he already knows. that he's
No,
gonna
he
die.
doesn't know.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't know yet.
No, he just knows this is the Messiah, but they're all thinking immediate salvation.
Is that what he's thinking? 'Cause
They're
he
all
says-
thinking. Well, if they're doing the Bible, the Jews were all saying, "When are you going to start the kingdom? Now or
Well,
when?"
I guess because he was with John so long. And
John didn't know either.
Nope.
Nobody knew that Christ was going to die.
Yeah, Philip and Jesus
was
are talking
completely-
at the fire pit, and
Say that again.
Philip and Jesus are talking around the fire, the campfire. And Jesus says something to the point of his death, and Philip was like, "What was that?" And then Jesus says something to the point of, "I don't know how to express it right now," or something like that. So I don't think Philip understands what's going on.
Interesting.
Oh, what's going to be going on?
No, nobody knows it. And whether they portray that in the show, we'll see. But scripturally, I'm telling you, nobody knew. Nobody had a clue that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
This took everyone by surprise.
You think Nicodemus understood it?
No. Nicodemus, that Christ was going to die? No, they had no idea. The Messiah was going to liberate Israel.
Because he tells them, like, what is it called, the serpent in the wilderness, or not the serpent? What?
Oh, right.
Numbers.
Yes, yeah. The brazen serpent.
The brazen serpent. And he tells them, like, that's the same way that the Son of Man is.
Right, and that's what Jesus told them, but they didn't know what that meant. That could be interpreted many ways. He'll be lifted up from the earth.
Yeah,
it was very cryptic the way he said it. We look back now and go, "Oh wow, that's exactly what happened. He was put on a tree and lifted up." I mean, literally.
Yeah.
But that could be taken any number of ways.
Yeah, we're
right?
seeing it from our perspective, in that we already know.
Yeah, it could be that means that he's going to like levitate off the ground, and the whole world will see him glorious and magnificent, which is kind of how they saw the Messiah. He was going to be this supernatural, superhuman person or superhuman being who was going to basically do all these incredible things, and everyone was going to see him. And they didn't understand that, no, it's not going to be through superhuman. It's going to be actually through the most human way possible, which is dying at the hands of others, defenseless.
Yeah.
They had no clue. And that's why when he died, it just, everybody lost their faith.
Yeah.
Everybody did.
Not
There was not a single person who thought, "Oh, okay, good. Now things are going to plan, and
3 days.
in 3 days and 3 nights he'll resurrect again, and then things are going to now we're going to be cooking." No one thought that.
No.
Not a single person. Not Mary. Nobody.
Not Mary, yeah.
Nobody.
She would probably be the closest one that understood it, if anything.
Maybe.
She was there.
Maybe. Who knows?
But yeah, you're right.
I think that fear and doubt set in on everybody, and I mean it's pretty clear in the scriptures because they're preparing his body. They're doing everything you would do for a dead person who's not coming back.
Yeah. Wow, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, but yeah, that's going to be. And when Terry said that, it made me think. I'm like, oh, that is going to be kind of.
You're
that's
like,
I was
gonna
just
be
thinking
hard.
that yesterday, actually.
Huh?
I was just thinking about that yesterday. It's like, oh man,
Yeah,
it's gonna be rough.
It is. So now when I watch it, every time I watch it, I'm thinking that. I'm thinking, oh
no,
I know what's coming. I know the end.
Hopefully not this episode.
So what did you guys think of the first episode of season 2?
That's the one where that one was really good.
That was like the funniest episode they've made, I thought, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was just hilarious.
I think that was the best written episode.
You thought so?
Yeah. That's probably my favorite episode now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just so well written, and it just has like an ongoing theme that has so many different layers throughout the whole episode.
I like how they have Jesus just like real busy.
Yeah.
Like he's doing this teaching. Next thing you know, he's working on a cart.
Yeah.
Yeah, mechanics.
It's like, where'd he go? It's like, oh, he's probably teaching somewhere. No, he's fixing
He's over
some
there.
random guy's cart.
Yeah, he's some guy's cart. Pass me the oil. I will lube it.
Yeah.
He's doing a lube job on a wooden cart.
Crazy.
It's hilarious.
That was pretty hilarious. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it was good.
I thought it was a good first episode.
Yeah.
It would have. I liked the third one more myself than the first one because it was serious, and I just liked how they did it with just like they had such few things. They did it with that one had to cost almost nothing to make, right? Because it was just so simple as far as the props and
Oh yeah.
and everything. I mean, there was no special effects. They had a campfire and a few people talking, and they did so
reminded
much
me-
with a conversation.
Of that show we used to watch, they only had a couple seasons of it. Of the guy who just sits in a diner
Oh,
table.
yeah, it's all filmed at one table.
on one table the entire show, and you're so intrigued. And that's how that.
What was the
show
name
felt.
of that show?
The Diner.
Is it The Diner?
Could be.
It is now.
No, I think it is The Diner.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I had never seen that show.
You've never-
Yeah.
Oh, it's
It's a very interesting show. It was for a few seasons,
yeah,
2 seasons maybe.
3 seasons.
The first season's the best.
Yeah.
Like always.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just this guy. He sits in a booth at a diner, and people come in and talk to him. I won't tell you what it is because it ruins it. But you have to watch it.
Okay.
But
It's super.
and it
good.
just
And
all
it's just
takes
like-
place in the booth.
You're like, oh, what's gonna happen next?
How do you guys have all this time to watch? Aren't you like the most busiest person
I
in
am.
the world?
I
I'm
am.
busy
You guys watch-
watching stuff.
That's what he's busy doing. Yeah.
I already know.
Yeah. You know. Don't
I'm not
say.
even gonna
Don't say it.
Don't say
You'll get
it.
arrested.
Don't say it.
But the episode 1 was really funny.
Yeah, I did think it was well written, and because comedy's hard to write. It's a lot easier, I think, to write tearjerker stuff. I
Yeah.
can tell you as a teacher and preacher, if I want to build a sermon, my goal is to get people sentimental, for instance, which I try not to do. I don't like it, but if I do, that's not that hard. It's really not that difficult in comparison to writing comedy. Comedy is very, very hard. And to do it in a meaningful way, where you're not just cracking jokes, you're actually building to something, right? That's like super hard. So they did a great job. They have really good comedic timing, I think.
Well, even at that, from what I remember, it's the only episode where you see Jesus get upset at any of the disciples.
Who did
When
he get upset at?
the
With
Sons of
James
Thunder.
and John.
Oh, that's
Like,
right. That
he
was on
goes
that
at them,
one.
like,
Yeah,
really
but I
hard.
do like how he responds. They're like, and we're gonna call fire down from heaven. He's like, fire? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you told me, you told us that we would do that.
And then after he rebukes them, he's like, "You were gonna use the power of God." So, well, it sounds bad when you say it like that.
I like the whole too soon.
Oh,
Yeah. They just worked there was so much in that episode. That could have been 2 episodes.
Oh, easily.
Easily could have been 2.
Yeah.
I mean, they packed it in. I think they wanted to make sure that everyone knew season 2 was not going to be a letdown.
Yeah. Oh,
I think they were really wanted to be sure that it was not a letdown.
Yeah.
And so I loved how they flipped the Good Samaritan story.
Oof. Yeah.
That was brilliant.
And that is difficult. We spent how long did we spend to
Weeks.
try to write
Yeah.
a Good Samaritan story?
Yeah.
That we just used
basically the text and try to make it into a more modern, like American comparison.
Like putting it into modern time, like
Exactly.
contemporary, make a
Right, so-
contemporary rendition of it.
When we say a Levite passes by on the other side, we're like, oh, okay. If
Who
you don't
could
know
be-
what a Levite is and you haven't studied that part, you're like, what's a Levite? Okay, continue on.
Yeah.
But we try to make it into, I don't remember what it was anymore.
Man, we spent so much time. It was just, anyways, it was a.
Yeah, and then they took it and they go,
They take it.
let's focus on the guy who did it. And they just
Yeah.
like flip it over. It's like, wow.
And they started at the very beginning of the episode, basically.
Yes.
At the start of the episode, it's building to
Yeah,
that.
it's
Like,
like,
what are they
why are they-
plowing for? And you think, well, it must be somebody who's like, it must be somebody who's disabled, who's,
Yeah.
paralyzed or whatever. They're doing good deeds. And it could easily have just been that. And you would have said, oh, that was cute. That was nice.
Yeah,
That was
because
nice.
they show him looking at his field, and
Yeah, and he comes out
looks
and
at God.
yeah, and you're like,
Like, looks
okay,
up towards
yeah,
God.
he's disabled.
It's like, oh,
That-
that's cool.
Yeah, Jesus is caring for the poor,
Yeah.
and that would have been so
Yes.
easy
Done.
Yes.
because that would have been like fall right into what everybody wants to think of Jesus.
Exactly.
And it's like, no,
No.
has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It's because he beat up a Jew.
Yeah.
What?
Yes, even the apostles.
Well, yes,
the
they're all like,
disciples are
because they're all proud of themselves that they plowed, and then they found out they plowed the field of a Samaritan who beat up a Jew and left him for dead.
Thought he
And then
killed
they're
him.
like, ah. no,
Yeah.
Jesus, what did you do to me?
Yeah, and throughout that whole episode, those two were just like bad mouthing Samaritans the entire.
I know.
episode.
They're
And
like,
then
I would rather plow this field than go out and be with some.
I know. They did say that. They did say that.
And they were out there.
And then they were plowing the field of the worst of all the Samaritans.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so great.
It's brilliant, right?
It is
It
brilliant.
is just, oh man, it's so difficult.
Yeah. See, and they took the story of the Samaritan, they treated it, I think, great. I like how they did it. Kind of like showing where Jesus got the source, right? The inspiration to use that as a story almost. I don't know if they'll then later on do it or however, but I just like how they worked all that in. That was incredible.
Yeah.
And then to make it to be, this isn't about helping him because he's poor.
Yep.
This is, you didn't go do a good deed.
No.
This is about teaching you guys something.
Yeah. And doesn't he come to the synagogue?
Yeah.
Right? He
And
goes
that's
to
where
the synagogue?
and that's where he reads.
Yeah, and that's where
So it's the whole, I mean, that episode was like jam-packed full.
jam-packed.
All kinds of stuff.
Because it's where, John writing his gospel, coming up with in the beginning was the word. The Samaritan, the Good Samaritan story reversed, the teaching in Samaria, Jesus still doing actual work, all of that stuff packed in, and Thomas's, that girl, I don't know if it's his girlfriend or his crush or his business
Wife.
coworker, whatever she is.
Yeah.
With her
That
dad
was
coming and
really good
talking to
part into it
Jesus.
also.
and that he leaves. I like that they do that.
Yeah.
I like that they don't have everyone following Jesus. It's not like they talk to him and they're just like, nah, and they just take off.
Yeah, he didn't want anything to do.
Nothing to do with it. He's like, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he leaves his daughter, the one that he loves the most, in his care, kind of.
Yeah, he's conflicted that way.
He's
Yeah, it's
conflicted. He's like,
interesting.
that was really cool. I don't think many dads would do that.
No, I wouldn't.
Well, of course not.
No. No, that was very interesting.
Yeah, that was-
They did a lot. They packed a lot. I'm not sure where they're going with that girl. I'm curious. I'm curious if they have some plan, some storyline, plot line,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
plot arc out there for her.
She's
'cause-
learning how to read and everything. So
Yeah, but
why
it's a
would they put
very
that
it's a
in
very
there?
small part right now.
Right.
So I'm wondering if there's not something more dramatic, more meaty coming up for her.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see where they go with that.
Mm-hmm. So is she a Jew?
Yeah, they're all Jews.
So, but most women in that culture didn't know the Torah.
I don't think so. I don't think that most women at that time read. A lot of people think most men couldn't read at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not of that persuasion. I don't know that they can prove that. And now I think outside of Judaism, yes, that's true. People were very illiterate,
Very little.
right? But the Jews have always been known forever as the people of the book, as people who had a book, read a book, the whole thing. Their life was centered around reading this book.
Yeah.
So the idea that none of them read, I don't think that's accurate. I think the way they're portraying it is accurate.
Yeah.
But that women didn't read, it was not considered legal for women to study Torah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's accurate.
Study or teach?
Study.
Really?
Yeah,
Actually,
Even
like
just
actually
studying?
go and because you had to go. It wasn't. No one had. You
That's a
couldn't
good point,
own
yeah.
it.
That's-
There weren't books in your house. You went to synagogue and you sat down and you discussed it. And doing that, women discussing that with men and sitting there holding the holy book. I don't think that was permitted. I think they have that right. It's hard to know. I mean, that's so far back, and it's not like we have a lot of records saying the main record we have of that time is the New Testament, even secularly. There's very little other evidence.
The cootie said, the synagogue said, no cooties allowed. No.
No cooties.
Yeah, but it's pretty interesting how they're actually coming to where the women want to know the Torah. They're trying to.
Well, it's showing a difference between
that's
Judaism
totally
and
different.
Christianity.
Yes, which is really cool.
It is good. I like
Yes.
it. I like that a lot.
Yeah, like here you go, here you go, here you gals go.
You
Read
cows
it.
go.
Yeah, so they're
Yeah,
starting to teach them
teach
so
it.
they can. Yeah, they're teaching them. They don't have them in their hands.
Yeah.
They're all quoting by memory, which is accurate. You wouldn't carry around a scroll of. I mean, they were treated. You saw how they were in the episode where they're like, take it out, and they have a little pointer. They still do all that.
Yeah, they don't touch.
Yeah, you don't touch it with your hand. You don't. It's all. Those scrolls are. They stay. That's how it is. You don't have. You don't carry around a Bible in your hand like Christians do.
Yeah.
So then they have to memorize them, and so they have them all. They have all these things memorized that they recite the way they're showing them there.
Which is pretty amazing to memorize all of that.
Well, not really.
Yeah, so I can't really memorize.
But
all
you're
that
not
stuff.
you're not in that environment.
That's right. We have phones that.
Yeah. I mean, why would you remember something when you can then just you can store it? I mean, that's why I'm not a big proponent of Bible memorization as a discipline. I have nothing against it. I don't think it's wrong, right? I don't think it's bad. I'm just not a big proponent of memorizing scripture. I don't think that it makes it. I don't think it helps in any way that I've heard people say it helps. I'm not convinced it helps with temptation, because I know of pastors who have memorized huge portions of the scriptures and have come out to know that they're terribly sinful and gross sins, like multiple serial adulterers or whatever.
Yeah.
David Koresh had the whole New Testament memorized, so or basically the New Testament memorized. So what does that tell you? So the idea that if you memorize scripture you won't sin, I don't see that it has any effect whatsoever on that I can tell. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think it helps you understand the Bible better, because I know people who have memorized a whole lot of the Bible and don't understand anything.
Yeah.
Zero. I mean, basically nothing. So I'm just not a proponent of memorization, because we have tools that we don't need to anymore. That's taken that place. So now we can focus our energy elsewhere.
Yep.
Which I think we should be focusing on understanding it more, reading it more. Whereas before, when you couldn't take it home with you, you couldn't have a book at home, you would memorize it, and you didn't have all the other distractions. Right now, we're just bombarded with things that we have to remember. Even if we set aside things that we could live without, entertainment, we're not TV, movies. We're not going to watch anything. All we're going to do are things that are needful. You have to remember so much just to do your job, whatever your job is. Tremendous amounts of things you have to learn and remember to do your job. And when life was simpler, they didn't have that. They lived in a very insular life.
Right.
Their little farm, their little thing, very little contact with the outside world. So they could create a bubble of a false reality in which they lived, and within that bubble, everything was real, in so much as it was in the bubble, even if it was not real. They could believe the earth was flat, and they could believe all these things that were completely wrong, but because they only lived within their bubble, it worked. It all worked, and they could live their life and live their life well.
Right.
Which gave them this time. We can't do that.
No.
We have to interact with so many things and places and people, and we have to have a shared context with all these different people. It means we have to learn it.
Yep.
Which means it's just like so much. So I don't know. I think that if you were in their time, you'd memorize too. So would I.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't have all your memory stored up with phone numbers and addresses, and I don't know how memory.
It doesn't work that way,
exactly.
but I mean, essentially, yes, that's true, but it doesn't work that way. You actually can. We haven't found that there's any limit to what you can remember. There's no limit to it that we can find. We assume there is. Seems like there must be, right? Because you only have 3.5 pounds of mass to put it in, however it is. But we don't know how memories are even stored.
Yeah.
No.
We have no clue. So we don't know that. We haven't found that there is a limit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my point is that we have so much to focus on remembering that it's why we find, I think, difficult to find the time to focus on that, because we may have unlimited space, if you want to call it that, for memory, but we don't have unlimited time to engage in it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
And we don't practice it as much either. So
Right.
it's
You have
similar a
to
muscle.
practice. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. If you don't, like people who memorize verses, they have to go over them.
Right.
Right? They have the ones they go over daily that they're just now memorizing. Then they go over another set weekly that they've memorized within a period of time past. And then they have others they go over monthly. And then they may have another set they go over like twice a year. Because if they don't do that, they will forget the verses they memorized.
Oh yeah, I tried to do that.
You have to. You can never stop going over
Yeah,
them.
I tried to
Ever.
do that, and it was just like,
My problem with it is you're
Exhausting.
spending so much time
yes,
to get these words right.
right.
and they're all out of context,
Yeah.
which is a huge issue. For those that know me know how much I hate that.
And I'm not understanding anything.
And you're not putting any effort into saying, what does this even mean?
Right.
You're just memorizing because it seems to be pithy.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like this statement is somehow more meaningful than the 3 statements before it.
Right. That's why I stopped doing
Why is that more meaningful? How is it even meaningful without the ones before it? How is it meaningful by itself at all? Well, I don't see how that is.
Yeah, it's
Well, to me, it could be, right? There are statements that are self-contained, that are truisms, that stand on their own as being true, and they themselves are meaningful. There are those.
yeah.
But are you sure that every verse that you memorize is that?
No.
I there's so many problems I have with memorization that I just don't even engage in it. I don't even try. I make no bones about it, and I'm not ashamed about it. And I tell people bluntly, I don't memorize the Bible.
Yeah. I tried.
I couldn't quote a single verse out of memory, probably.
No, I'm sure you could. No? Okay.
Because I have a type of memory, like if you say, if you ask me, what are the lyrics to Amazing Grace? I probably couldn't tell you right now. But if you don't ask and I just started to hum it and sing it, I could get most of them right.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask me for it, I'll get them wrong. When I'm put on the spot, you say, how does that song go? I freeze and I cannot remember. You say, what does Ephesians 2:8 say? It's like, I freeze. Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
But if I'm just talking to you, I could
You
quote
just say
it.
Okay.
I could quote it if it just came out,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't recall it. It's weird.
Yeah.
I'm that way with everything. It's not just the Bible. It's everything. If you ask me, I'll forget. I can't. It's like, you can't get it.
It's like Shaq trying to hit the golf.
It's
ball.
like when I'm teaching Hebrews.
That's
Yes,
Shaq.
Yes, it
Come
is.
on.
Charles Barkley.
Charles
Oh,
Barkley.
Charles Barkley,
Shaq
that's
shooting
right.
free throws.
Oh yeah, yeah. Charles Barkley. That is hilarious. It's
Yeah.
kind of like that. Like
It
it's
is exactly.
It's like, ooh,
It's what do they call them? The you just said it.
The Ips.
The ips, that's right. The ips. I get the ips on memory.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah. See, if I'm teaching Hebrews, if I'm teaching Hebrews, I can almost quote the first 2 chapters of Hebrews,
Okay.
just like verbatim.
Hmm.
I've never tried to memorize them. But if you asked me to quote a verse out of the first 2, I could not quote a verse.
That's interesting.
I may be able to quote the first verse,
Yeah.
but I'd probably get it wrong. But when I'm teaching it, I can just like spool it off right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
It's real weird.
That is really
Very strange.
That is really weird. So were we gonna go over the first?
Not episode by episode. No, we're out of time.
I was gonna say because you didn't ask me what my favorite episode was.
Okay, what's your favorite episode?
forgot.
You're all
I
sentimental now.
supplied it. I wasn't asked.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your favorite
The
episode?
6th episode in the first season,
It's episode
which is-
6,
yes.
which is
which is the what is it called again? I can't remember.
well, what's it about?
So it's pretty much he cures the leopard,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and then the Egyptian woman's friend that they bring guy
The paralytic.
The paralytic.
The leper and that was a good one.
Yeah, I liked how they took that whole chapter of Luke 5. It's like, whoa, and they expanded it. Like, it's like, why is this leopard even coming to Jesus? How does he even
how does
know?
he hear about it?
Oh, because he's his sister or his cousin saw him what is it
The
called?
fishes. Was it the
No, no,
fishes?
no, no.
the
She
leper.
saw him cure the leopard.
No, you asked why
No,
the
no.
leper came to Jesus.
She cured the paralytic. She, in other words, he says, "Oh, my sister saw what you did in that house."
Oh, so
You-
I'm okay. I got the timeline wrong. The paralytic was second in the story.
No, he was.
I mean, the leper. No, the paralytic was second
Yeah,
because the
oh,
Egyptian
yes,
woman
you're right.
sees the leper.
Yes.
Why?
It's the wine. It was the wine. That's
It was
right.
the wine.
It was the wine. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Yeah,
he was
she-
there. He knew about the wine.
No, his sister saw the wine.
Yes, but he knew about the
He
wine.
knew about the wine. So it's like, oh, cool.
So he comes to
knows-
Jesus
yeah,
because
he
of that.
comes-
Yes, that's right. And
was
then
so
she brings someone to Jesus because she
Exactly.
saw that.
Yeah,
That was kind of the theme of that show, right? Was
Yeah.
was how it was being
You
carried
relate
on.
with that.
I think
With
so.
I saw this, so I'm gonna bring him, and then
Yes,
you
I
relate
do.
with that kind of the story.
I also like the fact that like he's all full of swords, and all that type of stuff, and like everybody's looking at him like, oh, right?
Well, they're like, "Get away, get away," and they're like
right?
about to pull out their sword.
Yeah, and then he's cured. Like, he just touches him and he's done.
Well, I just like that Jesus just walks up to him, and everyone else is just,
Yes.
and he just walks up and puts his hands on him, and
yeah.
then he says, "Not too shabby."
Not too shabby.
They gotta make a shirt.
Yeah.
It says "The Chosen," not too shabby.
Yes.
They really got to make a shirt like that. I would buy that one.
Yeah.
I bet. Well, I've bought all of them, so that's not saying much. I buy it.
Yeah, I would buy that one too. I like that. Not too
Not
shabby.
too shabby.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Where did they get that from?
What? Not too shabby?
Yeah.
Well, that's not in the Bible.
No,
Daniel.
no, I know that.
I was like,
Corinthians?
No.
Where? What verse is that?
No, they get it from a movie, and I think it's Adam Sandler's that says that. Not too shabby.
Oh, I have no
I
idea.
don't know.
I think that's where they get that.
I mean, that is a
phrase.
saying. It's not like he coined that.
I
I
don't think
know, but
Adam
I'm saying
Sandler
that's where I
created it.
saw it.
Oh, okay.
That's where I heard it.
All right,
But
Daniel.
yeah, that's my favorite.
Are you saying that The Chosen got it from the Water Boy? Is that what you're saying?
Waterboy, not too shabby. Yeah, that was my favorite.
terrible.
Which one's yours?
I've never even thought about it.
No.
Not really.
You got to pick one.
We say, hey Nolan, let's watch an episode right now. What would you choose?
I think I like that one.
Yeah,
The paralytic.
that one was pretty cool.
That one was good. I like how they tore out the roof. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, they just ripped it
Yeah.
out.
They just ripped that
Hey.
Yeah, I really like that. I like the way the whole entire house was filled,
out. Yeah.
and they show that and the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a lot of characters evolving
Yeah.
in that show,
Yeah.
in that episode. You had Matthew, and then you had the same kids from the,
Yeah.
and he's just eating the grapes out of their
Yeah.
hands.
Yeah, when
Like,
before he went in half.
Yeah.
So you're already starting to see
yeah,
him
you're starting to
change.
say change in him. You see Nicodemus is kind of like sees this, and then you see the look of the Pharisees.
Yeah,
that was
priceless.
That was fantastic.
Yes.
That's a MasterCard commercial right there. Priceless.
Priceless. Yeah.
Sticking
All
to the
that
Pharisees.
was all in that one episode.
Priceless.
That episode was good.
Yeah, I forgot about
Reading the Pharisees' mind. Priceless.
priceless.
Yeah, when he's just repeating what the Pharisees thinking
Yeah.
Oh man.
before he even says it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that you don't get any better than that, right?
Yeah.
there. That was a great part of that episode.
Yeah, that's
I like how that guy then tries to. Excuse me. I like how that guy then tries to he tries to play it off, try to explain it away.
Yeah.
And his explanation is makes no sense. It's like, that's no better.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That was
Yours is the first one.
Mine is the woman at the
Woman
well.
Yeah.
See, I like the encounter he has with her, which is amazing. He tells
yeah.
her I'm the Messiah.
To me, that was so good. It just
Did you
made the whole episode the
when
best.
you read it in the Bible? Did it feel impactful as you seen it like that?
No, it brought a life to it
Yep.
that I had never really considered deeply.
Yeah.
Because I never even really thought that much of that
I know.
encounter.
I like how they keep going back to her also in season 2.
Season 2, yeah.
Where
Yes.
the whole town is like, yes, we know.
Yes.
We've already told everyone in town.
Yes.
It's so awesome.
And now that she's back with her husband.
Yeah.
She's back with her husband.
Yeah, she's back with her husband.
Yeah. And
And then he says, when they're going to go stay with him, and he says, we have one room, we have 8 rooms, but one of them is possessed or
haunted.
Yes.
is haunted by my grandmother's ghost or something. Jesus says, I'll take that one.
I'll take that one.
Yeah, it's hilarious. That
Yeah.
was-
And it's funny because you seem like the apostles actually believe.
Well,
it's
some of them
haunted.
are kind of
They're
super. Ooh, and she's like, I'll take that one.
Did he hear him? How did he say? Did
Andrew says, I might be scared or something like that. Because she tells the owner of the house, I don't think he's afraid, or he's not afraid of that, or whatever the case
He ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Yeah.
They missed their chance
that's
on
what
that
he
one.
says.
He ain't afraid of no ghosts.
yeah.
Yeah, then Andrew's like, I might be.
Her reaction though, when she says you promise, she's like, it's not gonna be.
It's not going to be about temples and
It's not
mountains.
gonna be
episode
about
8.
temples, and she says, you promise, and then he's like I promise, and it's to me it's like a I don't know, it's like a safety blanket over me, and it's I'm like, oh man, yeah, he did promise. So whenever I think I'm not worthy of anything.
That's why it's my favorite episode. To me, it just that whole thing is just to me, I identify more with her than probably anyone else in the show. With her, and then the way, and it's not just like the way the show does, but going back then to the text itself.
Yes.
And Jesus talking with her, what he's saying and what he's talking about, how worship is going to change, and it's no longer going to be who has the best mountain or you can't be in this temple. All of that's going to change. That's all in the text, and it's just very impactful.
Yeah.
And that, she was one of the first ones that got it.
That got it.
Yeah, and became one of the first evangelists out.
Yeah.
Getting everyone to come and hear, and
it's really good.
it is. I thought it was.
I liked that part of the show.
I thought what they did with a little thatch roof and a few rocks piled in a circle, because that wasn't a real well. I can guarantee that wasn't a real well.
You don't think so?
No. And if it was about as deep as the Jacob's well originally was. She's like, this is a deep well, and she went like this and pulled up a bucket of water. I'm like, it was like, no, they should have had like a bunch of rope and it going down. She basically just, how are you going to get water? It's real deep. It's like,
It's super deep.
I could like reach in and touch it from where she had it. So yeah, that was.
Yeah, she's really good. Even when she laughs, like she's like, like, oh, you're a prophet.
Yes.
Oh. Like, oh, now you come to condemn me. Like, it's like, no. He's like, that's not even what I'm here for. I'm actually going to tell you something. Amazing.
Yeah, he says, why else would I be out here in the middle of nowhere at this time of day? I came for you.
I came for you. There you go. That's like,
yeah, super good. That's my favorite. That's still my favorite one. I mean, I like the comedy of episode 1 of the second season. I like the paralytic, that whole thing. The story there, I thought was even more nuanced and complex and had more development across a lot of different characters. But I just can't get away from that last scene of that one. It's just like
you have to
brilliant.
Go back to it.
Yeah, it's just so good. It was a great finale. And then I love them walking down there with the trouble sound, and they're all walking down, doing that slow-mo walk. That's
Peter gets all hyped up and is like,
you see, Jesus has
it's time.
It's time. You see, Jesus has like a little, like a straw sticking out of his mouth, like he's all bad.
Yeah. We got this. We're going down there.
And they're all excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
Yeah, that was really good. That one was probably the best part that I like.
Right, of a part of one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I love episode 1. I mean,
Mary.
my favorites are 8 and 1 probably.
Yeah.
Because I just love how he deals with Mary and goes into the tavern and that's not for you.
That's not for you.
And then she leaves and he calls her by her name that no one calls her by.
No, and he grabs her head and tells her, "You're mine."
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, oh.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I'm yours.
That was brilliant. Really, really good.
Yeah.
Really good writing.
So it looks like episode 4, I think, is going to be the Sermon on the Mount, which I am super excited about.
I thought they were going to do the finale.
I think the whole end of the show is going to be this.
Oh, from now till the end.
I think it's going to work in because the previews, and if it is just a little spoiler alert, not that I know anything more than what you can know from previews, but some people don't like to watch even the previews.
I don't like watching previews.
Okay, well, sorry.
I'll
Yeah, you'll hum. The previews show Jesus developing the Sermon on the Mount.
That's right.
Not like just standing up and like spooling it off the top of his head, but actually sitting there with Matthew, or Matthew sitting, taking notes like a secretary, and Jesus is developing the Sermon on the Mount. So I think it's going to start with that, because that would be the next part of the text, unless they go out of Matthew and do some other part. But where they ended in Matthew, the next part is the Sermon on the Mount.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know that they were going to develop the Sermon
Yes.
on the Mount.
It looks to me like the finale is the Sermon on the Mount.
Presenting that.
Yes. But I think they're going to start working that towards that now, is what it looks like to me.
That is cool.
Which again goes back to my whole thing of taking it seriously, that Jesus, that this is a very meaningful, important speech that he's going to give. And he's taking it very seriously, and he's working it out and figuring out the best way to communicate it.
Yeah, not just like how I even thought, off the cuff, right? Like he's like going
like he can just he can just talk it. That he's
this is one of the sermons that just went viral, basically.
Yeah,
it's like, no, this is
this is him knowing this is a sermon that's going to change the world.
Right.
I'm going to change the world with this, and I want to get this all right. Which again, how many times? I mean, I just think back in my life, and it's counted on one hand the times that anybody ever talked about the Sermon on the Mount in any meaningful way. That it was actually itself, not the elements. They would talk about different things in it, and how valuable they are. But to say the Sermon on the Mount is the most important sermon ever preached, the most impactful speech ever given, the greatest literary work ever written is the Sermon on the Mount. And from any perspective, even if you're a secularist, in my opinion, you can't get around the impact that sermon had on the world. And to say it didn't is just nonsense.
No, yeah.
The whole world changed because of the ideas expressed there.
Yeah.
For better or worse, depending on your perspective. But even an atheist has to look at it and say, yeah, it changed the world. That, whether you believe Jesus existed or not, that writing, that 3 chapters in Matthew changed the world.
Well, yeah, even Orthodox Jews, like, well, maybe not Orthodox. So I hear, what's his name? Ben Shapiro saying that about the Sermon on the Mount. He's like, yeah, I'm not even a Christian. He's like, but I can't deny that's not really good teaching. That's really good teaching. It's impactful, and it's changed our Western civilization.
It is the basis of Western civilization. It is the basis. It is the foundation of what we call Western civilization. The exalting of peace as opposed to war. Those who make peace as opposed to those who make war. The preeminence or the priority of the poor, of the humble, of the meek. All of these things that are considered virtues, those are not virtues before the Sermon on the Mount. They're virtues now, and they're virtues. That's Western culture virtues.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah, and then that's just the secular or physical attributes of it. Then you get into maybe in my opinion, the most impactful point of the Sermon on the Mount is the fathership of God. That God is the Father. People take that for granted. Jews did not think of God as their Father. When Jesus said he was their Father, they were very upset about that.
Yeah.
That was not how they conceived God. Father in the Old Testament, there's only like 1 or maybe 2 texts in the Old Testament that talk about God being Father.
Yeah.
And it's in a very sanitized, a very distant sense, as the sense of he's being the creator. Yeah. As him being the Father of all things, right? The way many Roman Catholics think of God as the Father, but even more so because God's even the Father of the animals and the trees and everything.
Yeah.
He's the Father in that he brought everything into existence.
Yes.
Not the Papa, the Daddy.
Yeah.
Not that. That's why Paul emphasizes in Hebrews, we say Abba, Father. Right? Not just Father. We say Abba, Father. Dear Daddy, Father.
Yeah.
Right? And so the Sermon on the Mount makes that point. Jesus teaches that. First time ever.
Yeah.
He teaches God is your actual Abba. Like what? What?
Yeah.
Which then ties in. What's that?
He's supposed to be conquering for us, not.
Right. And God, I mean, how could God be our Father? It's like he's our protector. He's our champion, our creator, our judge.
Yeah.
Right. All these things. Like, no. He's your Father.
Right.
And that's mind blowing. That ties in. It's like, well, how is that? Well, then that's the new birth. You must be born again. You have to be born of God so he can be your actual Father. That's not how no one saw any of this that way. This is completely new. And that's probably the most impactful and meaningful insight of the Sermon on the Mount, I would think. There's a lot of them. I mean, there's a whole lot more.
Yeah.
There's just a few. You go through the Sermon on the Mount, there are just stacks of these insights, innovations that no one had ever thought of before that Jesus taught for the first time in such a way that it transformed the world. And now we have what we call Western civilization, which is a civilization founded on those basic ideas.
Yeah.
For better or worse. We've gone way away from them. I'm not saying that Western civilization is Sermon on the Mount incarnate.
Right.
But it is the basis of it. There would be no Western civilization without it.
That's kind of why I'm opposed to the whole thing that Judeo-Christian is because it's like, no,
It's not
It should be
Judeo.
the other way around.
It's not. It's just Christianity.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, okay, if you want to say it that way, let's say Christianity Judeo.
Well, that doesn't sound good
I
at
know
all.
it doesn't sound good at all, but I'm saying this is the way.
It'd be
it is.
Christio-Judaism, is what you want to say?
Huh?
Christio-Judaism?
Judaism.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see what you're saying, but the reality is
Christian.
it is Christian. There is, and that's why I made that video that's on our YouTube channel on polygamy.
Mm-hmm.
The polygamy, the proof for the evidence for Christianity.
I can't remember.
Yeah. So I do one on. You ought to see it. It's hilarious because it's the one that gets the most views, and I get the most negative feedback on.
Really?
I've gotten one positive feedback comment on that video.
What was the positive?
Well, that she said, some woman wrote me and said she appreciates it. She was in polygamy for a long time and she's gotten out and now realizes that it's wrong and sin or whatever. Everyone else hates me for that video because they're all polygamists that are watching it. I didn't know there was that many.
Whoa.
No, there's a lot.
Apparently.
No, yeah, they have a whole
Subculture.
yeah, and like on TV that showed like their lives. All these different families.
Yeah, like.
Well, I know there's polygamists. I didn't know there was that many on
There's
YouTube
enough that
looking for
have
Yeah,
a
it's
whole
weird that they
for
would
an
use
echo
every
chamber.
week they show
Yeah.
a different family on this show. Multiple families. No, there's enough to have a whole TV show on it.
But are they Christians? Are they religious?
They're
Or
religious
are they
polygamists.
secular, basically whoremongers?
No, they're religious. Or
They're
say
religious
they are.
whoremongers.
They say they, yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's better. Yeah, it's crazy. Anyways, because I didn't make the video about polygamy. Polygamy is the shtick,
Okay.
right? It's the hook. The idea is that Christianity stands apart from all other religions.
Man, I don't remember seeing that.
Yeah, you have to go watch it.
Yeah.
Just look on our channel, the Freeborn channel. I have one there that says polygamy, the case for Christianity. It's another thing where I can't remember it when I want to. The polygamy,
titles.
yeah, I can't even remember the titles I wrote. Polygamy, the case for Christianity.
Okay.
The point is nothing. I'm not trying to condemn polygamy. I didn't think that was an issue. I thought we'd resolved that issue already, right? My point is that all major religions have countenanced and promoted polygamy. All of them.
Okay.
Including Judaism.
Okay.
The only non-polygamist of the Jewish patriarchs is Isaac. Every other of the patriarchs was a polygamist.
Yeah.
Almost all the kings were polygamists, except for maybe Saul, I think, was too. So, I mean,
remember how many. I don't know if Saul had any.
I'm thinking he was, but I could be wrong. That would be hilarious if he was the one king who wasn't a polygamist, was Saul.
Yeah.
All these men of faith.
faith, yeah.
Right. My point in the video is all religions, Muslims, Judaism, Hindu, all of them practice polygamy. The one religion that never has done it, neither in doctrine nor in practice, is Christianity.
Yeah.
Only one. Jesus and the apostles all were against polygamy.
All against.
And the doctrines against polygamy, the leadership of the church is established as
Yes.
being excluding polygamists.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't he say that of one wife?
Husband of one wife.
Husband of one wife.
You're right.
It's like, whoa.
You know, people think that means they can't be divorced. And maybe it means that.
Maybe.
It could. I don't know. I'm not convinced that that's what that means, but maybe. But one thing we can all agree on, it means they cannot be polygamists.
Yes.
There's no doubt about
exactly.
that. That's clear.
Yeah.
We can argue about divorce. We can argue about whether or not you can be widowed and remarried. I mean, I think there's a strong case, and this is the one I make with people who believe that it's divorce, that a divorced man can't be a pastor or an elder. Because in my mind, that reasoning would mean that if you are widowed and remarried, you cannot be an elder.
Okay.
Because,
Oh,
On-
with that reasoning.
right, because the text that deals with widows receiving support from the church, it's in the same context, says that they can only be married to one man, meaning that if they are widowed young, they should not receive support because they might sin against Christ and remarry. He's not saying they can't be polygamous. He's saying if their husband dies, they cannot remarry and be supported by the church. It's in the same context as pastors being the husband of one wife. So just contextually speaking, if you take it to mean that way, then it means that anyone who's widowed and remarried cannot be an elder.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it was that way for the women.
Yeah.
In the context, that's what it meant. It's spelled out. That's not an interpretation. That's what it was for the women.
Well, but we're men, so we can do it.
No, I don't think that's what it's saying.
Obviously not.
I think that he's speaking of polygamy.
Yeah.
But if you then make it to be the other, to me, you're basically paint yourself into that corner where it's like now widowers must remain unmarried to continue to be elders, which would be very odd, right? I mean, definitely since we're the men, we're not going to allow that, but still.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, I did that polygamy one on that, and I've gotten just tons of hate mail over it. It's just so hilarious to me. Every time I get it, I just laugh. I just go like, where are you people coming from? What woodwork are you crawling out of?
I mean, I can say where they're coming from, I think. I don't know what to say.
Well, my point is, I just can't believe even Mormonism has rejected polygamy.
Well, I think no, I don't think they've.
Yeah, they have.
I think they've said it just to appease certain.
No, they'll discipline you. If you're
Really?
yes, Mormonism will discipline you out of their church. They'll excommunicate you if you have more than one wife.
Really?
Yes, it's illegal and it's serious. Yeah, they're not playing around.
Okay.
Yeah, mainstream Mormonism. Now, there's a lot of offshoots, and that's the reason they go off. They separate out
Okay, that's
because
probably what
Mormonism kicks them out.
Yeah, that's.
They're
probably
not.
what
You cannot be a polygamist in Mormonism.
Okay.
That is not acceptable.
Yeah, they did this a while back.
Oh, yeah.
Where they stopped. They said no, we're not going to be.
Well, they wanted to become a state.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I guess the ones that are still practicing, their offshoots of.
Yes,
That
they have
makes sense.
separated out. They've either been excommunicated or they have left voluntarily, but they're not part of mainstream Mormonism.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. But my point, though, my point of the whole video is Christianity is unique.
You very.
And the idea that we are Judeo-Christians is not true.
Nope.
That's not the case. I understand what one point they're trying to make, trying to acknowledge the Judaic roots to some of the things, to many of the beliefs and practice or whatever. I understand that. And I'm not trying to say that Jesus wasn't Jewish. I'm not trying to say that all the apostles weren't Jewish. Every biblical writer was Jewish. 3/4 or 2/3 of the Bible is Jewish. I'm fine with all that. Yes, I agree with all that. Christianity is not Jewish.
Right.
It is a new covenant.
Very.
It is not a rehashing of an old covenant. It is a new covenant that is neither Jewish nor Gentile. It is Christian. It is of Christ. That's what Paul says. He says, do not glory in men.
Right.
Because all things are yours.
Yeah.
Things present, things to come, right? He says, see, here it goes my memory again. He says things present, things to come. I'd have to look it up. Anyways,
He's talking about Romans 8.
no, that's not Romans 8.
No.
That is 1 Corinthians 3, I believe, where he says that they shouldn't. He says, I put myself and Apollos as an example
right.
to not glory in men. He says, don't glory in men.
I am of Christ.
Because they're not yours. The apostles, you're not of the apostles.
Yeah.
You're not of the Jews. You're not. All things are yours, and you're Christ, and Christ is God's, and that's the order. So there is no Judaism in that hierarchy. It's the believers are of Christ, and Christ is of God. It is a transcendent spiritual hierarchy or patriarchy, if you want to call it that, genealogy that does not include the Jewish people in it. They are included. They can be of Christ, but Christ is not of them. Very important. When we say Judeo-Christianity, we're saying, well, because Jesus was of the Jews.
Yeah.
He was Jewish in his humanity, but in Christianity is not dealing with humanity.
Right.
Our humanity is dealing with what is spiritual. And that lineage is the believer is directly of Christ, who's directly of God.
Yeah.
And that's when we say Christianity, we're not talking about a comparable religion to Judaism or Buddhism or Hinduism. We're talking about an individual personal relationship with Jesus Christ himself.
Yeah.
Not a religion. And that is not Jewish.
Right. Yeah.
That's the point of the video. Somehow it became, the whipping boy of all the polygamists. Somehow, I don't know. I get a lot of people writing me, angry at me for making that video. It's like, And they're missing the whole point anyways.
And did you use that word for that specific reason? You were
Well,
clickbaiting them in the sense.
No, I had no
They
idea.
existed, so
I didn't even
how
know
do you
they
explain it?
existed.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine when I first got the first one. I'm like, well, that's odd. I figured I'd get responses like, well, that's it. I never thought of it that way or something. That's an interesting perspective. No, all polygamists are upset.
Sharing it with each other.
Yeah.
Look at this moron.
Well, they're going on YouTube now. I know they're going on YouTube looking for the echo chamber, and they see polygamy, the case for Christianity, and they think, oh, this is pro polygamy. Well, then they click on it, and it's not at all. It's saying that polygamy is the evidence that Christianity is true and all other religions are false. That is an evidence, and not the evidence, evidence of that.
Right.
My argument in it is one of the lines I use is, and I think to me I like it. I think it's funny, but I say that Christians value women in a way that no other religion does. Other religions, because of their views on polygamy, value women as the way you would value diamonds. That the more you have, the more valuable they are, right? Whereas Christians value women as the one and only one that can make them whole. And that having two wives would not make you more whole. It just leave you deeper in a hole.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
I like
I
that
don't remember
line.
that one.
Huh?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? Yeah, go back and watch the video. That's what I say at the end. Yeah, I kind of spoiled it. Spoiler alert! It's anti-polygamy for all you polygamists out there that are clicking, looking for the. And it's I gave away the punchline.
That's fine. I like that punchline. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should watch it. It's a funny video. It's real short. It's one of those little ones I did when I first started doing videos.
Okay.
So it's horrible. The filming.
the audio.
I'm all like,
You couldn't move.
I'm
your
the
legs.
straw man or I'm the tin man.
Well, you're kind of like how we are right now. When the camera goes on, it's like.
It's like a tractor beam.
Yeah. It's like, not moving.
Chillax.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. What's that?
No, nothing.
What are you gonna say?
No, nothing.
Food?
Food.
Food? Food? Who, you have food?
Only if you're making your really good steak.
Who gave you food? I should have.
Nah, I'm kidding.
Should have, but I didn't because I knew you were coming. All right. Well, I sure appreciate you guys coming.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
That was fun. We gotta after they have a few more episodes, or maybe at the end of the season, we'll have a recap.
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll do a recap
End of
meeting,
season.
and end of season recap. We'll try. We'll set that up and
Yeah.
have you guys back and talk about it.
Yeah,
Cool.
It was fun.
All right. Thank you for being here, Nolan. Next week, is it on me? I want it on me. The camera loves on
I
me.
haven't switched at all.
Is that
It's on
all?
you the entire time.
There we go. That's the producer.
Yeah.
We're gonna give him an Oscar. After you see next week's, you'll appreciate Nolan.
I was working on Thursday.
I filmed Mike's. Mike is on next week, but
Oh,
not
cool.
live because we're gonna be out of town. So I filmed it Thursday with Mike, and I did the camera work.
Whoops.
It is horrible. Well, first off, I didn't take the splash screen off for like 20 minutes. So you're going to hear it,
Hold on.
and you can kind of see the behind the. Mike Pemberton is going to be on next
But
week.
he filmed it Thursday.
Last
Without
Thursday.
me, I was working last Thursday. I was working out of town, so he was talking and doing the camera work.
Oh,
You see, but I am like a master. See, now it's on my dad, now it's on Josh, now it's on me. See,
Oh, now he's showing off. Put it back on me. It always goes on
always
me.
on you.
It's always on me.
It's
That's
always on
me.
you.
That's right. I like to look up and see someone I like. Anyway, so I'll tell you right now, next week, next Saturday, Mike Pemberton, we're going to be talking about AI, what it means to be human, and then Mike is off onto a lot of other subjects.
Yeah.
So they're interesting, all fascinating. I had a great conversation with him. So next week it'll air Saturday at 9 a.m. I would advise you to just wear a blindfold and listen. Just put on the audio. The video is going to drive you bonkers, and you'll appreciate Nolan more, and you can probably contribute to his Patreon account.
Go fund me.
Go fund you. Go fund his food. Look at him. So you've already been funded. Well funded.
That's funny.
Anyways, next week is that. And then the following week, I'll just give you a sneak peek. Yeah, the following week after Mike will be live again with Linda Pemberton,
Oh wow.
and we're going to talk about the role of women in the church.
Oh,
Woo! It's gonna get spicy.
Uh-oh.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
A lot of
I
people
love
like
talking to
dislike
Linda.
Those videos, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. Anyone left that is not mad at me, just get your anger apron out, get it out. You're gonna be furious, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. All right. So it's good to have you guys here with us. Take care. We'll see.